a happy guy. After all, you have 2 wins to your credit in 1992's Busch Grand National Series, and with only 2 races to go, you are the points leader. But then you come to Rockingham, North Carolina, and find yourself starting a dismal 20th. Things could look better. Now, Bobby Labonte surely should be a happy guy. His win last weekend at Martinsville catapulted him to within 60 points of his 2nd consecutive series title. But Labonte is only starting from the 11th position, behind names like Gant, Earnhardt, and Waldrop. Bobby's immediate future could look brighter as well. A full field of NASCAR's Busch Grand National competitors are set to challenge each other in this demanding 1.017-mile circuit known as the Rock. PNN Motorsports proudly presents live flag-to-flag coverage of the AC-Delco 200 from the North Carolina Motor Speedway. So the BGN Championship essentially has come down to a mano affair between 2 of the best drivers NASCAR has seen in this division. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and I'm with Joe Nemechek, who is leading the points in the 87 car. And, Joe, your strategy here has to be pretty simple. Finish ahead of Bobby Labonte. But in qualifying, we're going the wrong way. You're back here, and he's up there.
Well, we had I thought I had a pretty good run in qualifying, and all these quick times kept coming up, and we kept getting bumped back. So we're back in 20th. We have a real good car. You know, what I'm hoping for is this is my good old faithful car here, one we run at Charlotte, and the more we run, the faster it gets. So we're praying for a lot of green flag laps today.
Okay, good luck to you. All right, my buddy Glenn Jarrett, he's with the man that Joe is trying to hold at bay.
Well, thanks, Steve. Bobby Labonte has been steadily chipping away at that lead. He's only 60 points behind now, and he's done it borrowing a page from Harry Gant's book of success. He has 2 wins this year. This car he's here at Rockingham in is the car he's won 2 races in. This is primarily a short track car. A little unusual to be running it on a super speedway, Bobby.
Well, I guess, here it's pretty much a short track. The corners mean a whole lot. So, the straightaway speeds don't really mean that much here because it's not like Charlotte or Atlanta or Michigan. So we just brought this car here because it works so good.
Well, it seems to work everywhere you go. Have you had any problems getting the car dialed in?
Well, it's been a little bit hard this week, but hopefully we got it ready for this race.
What's your strategy? You've chipped away at that lead now. Do you just keep doing the same things, or you take what this place gives you?
Well, we got a long ways to go, and we're just going to try to keep this Slim Jim Chevrolet running all day and be there at the end and figure out where we're at then.
Well, he's one of the most consistent drivers out here, always there at the end of the race. Keep your eye on him. Steve?
Well, another big factor could be down here in the pits. If this race ran green for 200 miles, you could do it on 1 stop. But this is Rockingham, and some say the yellow flag was invented here. But the guys down here are ready. Also ready is Mike Soy, the captain of our racecasting team.
Thank you, Steve, and hello, everyone. It's going to be a beautiful day for racing here at the Rock, and the stands will be full to see this penultimate race of the 1992 season. You have met Joe Nemechek and Bobby Labonte, the leading contenders, but don't forget there are 2 other drivers still in the thick of this point race. Both Robert Presley and Todd Bodine are approaching today's race with cautious optimism.
But it's never over. We're 3rd in the points and got 2 races left. We can get them.
Yeah, we still could, If Bobby and Joe has trouble first lap, we win Rockingham. We won't be but about 80 or 90 points out of the lead. Go to Hickory, race hard. We could still win this thing.
If Lady Luck will just look the other way and smile on these 2 drivers, it could be a 4-horse race when TNN brings you the season finale live from Hickory, North Carolina on November 8th. I'll be joined today by my broadcast partners Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker, and I've not seen Neil lately. I can hear him in my headset, and earlier he did file a report. Let's see where he is.
Mike, I'll tell you one thing. When I quit driving these things, I thought I was through working on them, but that ain't the case. My son drives race cars, and I've been working on them more now than I ever have. He's been running little half-mile racetracks at home and enjoying some success at that. The problem when you come to these big super speedways, I don't think it bothers him as bad as it does me. This place is fast, a lot of traffic around here. It's a tough racetrack to get around. Watching all week long has been tougher on me when I used to climb in one of these things and drive them. They're about to drive me crazy watching. But speaking of watching, I better get up there and get to work or you guys ain't going to see this race. Let's go over to Buddy Baker.
Neil, I know exactly what you're saying. When my kids drive, it makes me a nervous wreck. But a place like Rockingham, it is very, very tough to get along with. As you can see here on the wall, many gouges from veteran drivers. As you look down the straightaway, once they get into the outside wall, they go straight into the inside wall. Even a guy that's been here many, many times can find Rockingham very hard to get along with.
And there'll be a lot of anxious dads, buddy. There are 10 second-generation drivers in this field today. Exclusive live coverage of the AC-Delco 200 on TNN, the Nashville Network, is brought to you by AC-Delco. It's like buying time. By Texaco, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. And by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. We'll be back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway at Rockingham on the AC-Delco 200 right after these messages.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the AC-Delco 200 from Rockingham. You know, this year the BGN regulars have done a great job of defending themselves against the invading Winston Cup stars. That could change today because qualified fifth on the yellow number 7 car is Harry Gant. That is never good news. You want some more bad news, guys? Alongside Gant is, in the 3-car, Dale Earnhardt, and he still may be a bit intimidating to the younger drivers on this circuit. Right now, let's check in with the news on last weekend's BGN race. Here is Mike Joy with the Haviland update.
The Winston Classic at Martinsville is billed as racing's wildest triple header, and it did not disappoint. On the start of the race, the front row gets sideways in turn 1, involving Robert Presley, who was a point contender. Todd Bodine had worse luck on the start. His car would not go into 4th gear, and he lost 40 laps on pit road. Number 12, Tommy Ellis, in a retaliation move against race leader Jeff Gordon, earned a trip to the penalty box. Mike Wallace started 5th and had a career day, leading 111 laps. Then battled with number 44, Bobby Labonte, in the late stages of the race. Side by side, they battled for the lead as the crowd came to its feet and stayed there. Finally, Labonte was able to put Wallace away on the outside with just 12 laps to go to beat Wallace and Butch Miller. Suddenly, Labonte is the contender for Nemechek's championship hopes. Todd Bodine and Robert Presley remain mathematically in contention. Jeff Gordon is 5th, and the rest of the top 10 include Kenny Wallace, Butch Miller, Ward, and Jeff Burton, and Tommy Houston.
Well, that was then, and this is now. On the pole today at Rockingham, to no one's surprise, the number 1 white Ford of Jeff Gordon, his 11th pole of the year, an all-time record. And Jeff, you said when you scrambled out of the car Thursday, heck, I've been rehearsing that since I was 5 years old.
Well, you know, I have done quite a bit of qualifying, and as young as I am, in the quarter midgets and the go-karts and the sprint cars, but, you know, it's a whole lot different when you get to this level. To get 11 poles in a single season is amazing, and we're just as excited as anybody else could be, and we're real happy for Baby Ruth. And this crew works really, really hard on qualifying, and that's what it takes to get 11 poles in the season.
Keep your tires under you.
Yeah, that's going to be the toughest thing today, is being able to keep the old worn-out tires where the car feels good. I think we've got that.
You know, I just saw Glenn Jarrett a moment ago. He was headed towards the back of the pack. What are you doing back there, Glenn?
Well, I've wandered toward the back of the pack looking for some of these second-generation drivers. I saw Mike Wallace and Ed Barrier. Both those guys had racing fathers. And here's David Bonnet. Are you Neil Bonnet's son?
Yeah, wait a minute now. Aren't you Ned Jarrett's boy?
Ned Jarrett's boy. This is something we go through all the time. Famous racing fathers make life tough on us, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Trying to stand the shadows tough.
Well, does the old man put any extra pressure on you there? Does he give you any words of advice, or you just wish he'd shut up?
No, he's giving me a lot of good advice here. This racetrack's tough to get around. As you see where I'm sitting back here now, just kind of take my time, and maybe we can pick some cars off and finish good.
All right, well, one word of advice to you, though. If he gets to talking too much, just simply turn the radio off. That'll shut him up. Mike?
Well, Neil won't be in David's ear today. He'll be in all of our ears, you folks at home, and Buddy and myself up here. Buddy, who had a famous racing dad as well, knows about that. Had a couple of sons that had a turn behind the wheel or two. Today at the Rock, there's a look at the weather radar. And you see it is painting absolutely nothing on the screen from out of Fayetteville. A couple of wispy clouds in the sky, now up to 73 degrees. Light wind, forecast, excellent. I like that. The North Carolina Motor Speedway is just a little over 1 mile in length, so it'll take 196 laps here to go 200 miles. The turns are banked a little differently, 22 degrees at the south end, 25 up the north end. Straightaway is a little different in length. Make that 197 laps, excuse me. That's what they'll face today at the place that they call the Rock. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for today's AC-Delco 200. You're looking at the front row. Jeff Gordon on the pole, broke Sam Ard's record with his 11th of the season. Ward Burton won the race here back in February. In row number 2, 1990 series champ Chuck Bound and Mark Martin, who won here in 1988. Harry Gant's a two-time winner here. Dale Earnhardt has been to victory lane 4 times in the Busch Series here at Rockingham. Hut Strickland, runner-up at Michigan in August. Dave Rezendi had a 5th of the Watkins Glen, his best of the year. Then it's Rick Mast and Darrell Waltrip. They'll share the 5th row. In row 6, point-standing runner-up and defending champ Bobby Labonte, last year's runner-up Kenny Wallace. In row 7, good qualifying run for Jim Bound today, and Todd Bodine, now 3rd in the points, a 3-time winner this year. Joe Bessie led 25 laps here in February. He's from Maine. Bill Elliott is 8th row with him. Tommy Houston, who switches to Ford next year, and there's Robert Presley, now 4th in the points, a 5-time winner this season. Ernie Irvin, defending champion of this race, and the point leader Joe Nemechek way back in row 10. Then Butch Miller, last week's pole sitter. Steve Grissom won up at Barberville, Florida this year. Kenny Schrader looking for his first win in this series this season, and Hermie Sadler, a newcomer. A couple of former ARCA standouts, Tracy Leslie and Bobby Daughter in row 13. The new NASCAR Modified champ, Jeff Fuller, makes his Busch Grand National debut. Terry Labonte is in row 14 with him. Jimmy Spencer, former Modified champ, and the Busch North champ, Ricky Craven. Then it's Ed Berrier and David Bonnet, 2 second-generation drivers in the 16th row, as is Mike Wallace in row 17, and Michael Rich making his 2nd start in a row. Richard Lassiter, Little Rock, back in row 18 with Jason Keller in the Mike Laughlin car. Then Tom Peck out of Pennsylvania and Shauna Robinson in row 19. David Donahue continues his efforts in Busch racing with Andy Hillenberg, the final qualifier. Jeff Burton was the fastest second-round qualifying driver, had his time disallowed for illegal carburetor modification, and will start scratch. We'll be riding with Kenny Wallace today in the Dirt Devil Pontiac. Hired a car owner Felix Sabates, who had emergency appendectomy surgery this week. Hope they didn't operate on his wallet. The pictures Kenny will show us will include the 360-degree race cam mounted on the roll cage that you see now, and also a look at the roof cam on Kenny Wallace's car. Also, we'll be getting instant pictures from Shauna Robinson in the Polaroid high-definition film. Number 25, the Don Beverly car. And Sean will be showing us these pictures from the 360-degree tilt and pan view in-car camera. And there's one of our favorite shots, that rear bumper cam. That should be an action view today. They're rolling at the Rock and getting set for 197 laps. We'll be right back with the start. You're watching from Kenny Wallace's car as we get set to go green in the AC-Delco 200 at Rockingham. Field addresses itself to the starting line. Jeff Gordon in the Ford, Ward Burton on the outside in a Chevrolet, and as they take the green, Chevrolet clinches the Bill France Performance Cup for the auto manufacturer's title in the NASCAR Busch Series. But as he's been for much of the season, starting from the pole and on the point, Jeff Gordon jumps out with the lead. That Keith Simmons Ford V6 putting Gordon out front quickly. Ward Burton is right with him. Good, clean, smooth start among all 41 cars.
Mike, that car really handles good. He's got a lot of motor in that car. He qualifies well with it. That really shows how strong the engine is. He's going to be tough to handle when he gets out front. Like, it's going to take a good handling race car to run him down.
There's point leader Joe Nemechek opposite Kenny Schrader, number 15, and Tracy Leslie, 72. Nemechek starting mid-pack today in 20th position. His magic number, 114. If he leaves here with that much of a lead, he will clinch the championship by merely starting at Hickory. At third place, Chuck Bound with Mark Martin, whose Ford was extremely fast at Charlotte, failed to finish.
Looks like the inside line really made a good move. Burton got over into second position. There was question before the start of the race about Jeff Burton. He worked on his car right up. The car running second there. They changed an engine late yesterday afternoon and had a little bit of clutch probably got worked out.
You see Mark Martin going in under Chuck Bound there. The bottom part of the racetrack is much quicker. Now when he starts off the corner, he'll move up on the straightaway there to get a good line going back in the corner.
Back to 15th position where Robert Presley duels with Bill Elliott, Ernie Irvin, and Todd Bodine. Those are the two dark horses, the black car of Presley and the red number 34 of Bodine. Now in this point race, they are still in contention. And you see in your picture 44 Bobby Labonte as well, running right behind Earnhardt and Waltrip. There's Presley and Bodine.
Ernie Irvin on the outside. That's the fourth engine he's had in the car since he's been here. He's had a lot of motor trouble. He put this engine in this morning, so he's hoping it stays together.
3 abreast.
Something's got to give down here, ain't right, buddy?
It was Elliott.
Yeah, Bill made a good move. He backed out and let him get 2 abreast, get to the corner.
Irvin is coming fast. Remember the Busch race at New Hampshire on TN. Here we are 3 wide in the backstretch again. Bobby Labonte's not going to coast into the point lead. He took it 3 wide on the bottom with Earnhardt and Waltrip. Might have gotten a little of Darrell's paint on him that time.
Yeah, you know, even though you're in contention for the championship, this division, you got to race hard, and you want him to finish the race in a good position. He's worried about positioning early in this race, so he can have a good finish.
8th place the battle, and right behind it, here's Kenny Wallace. And his view, same view he had at the end of last season of Bobby Labonte, 1 spot back in the points.
Boy, that looks just like it looks when you're out there racing. I tell you what, those cameras are wonderful in these cars. Give everybody an idea of what it looks like to drive a race car.
From the roof cam of Kenny Wallace, and now back from the rooftop of the North Carolina Motor Speedway.
Hud Strickland leading Earnhardt with 17, Waltrip right behind him, and Labonte. These 4 cars here were exceptionally fast in practice, and they're working their way to the front. Lost motor.
Shauna Robinson may not be giving as many pictures from our in-car camera today. Bit of smoke from the back of that car, now billowing out in the back straightaway.
Neil, that's the left side bank, whatever the problem. It's either got a broken piston or a drop valve on the left-hand bank on that engine.
Yeah, there we go. See the smoke. That's out of the rear of the car. You can see the smoke trail off the left side of the engine. Like Buddy's talking about, probably melted a piston or cracked a piston, something like that. Continue to run and do that.
2 cars to be mindful of. Jeff Burton has passed 8 cars in 8 laps. He started last. Ernie Irvin started 19th, is now 12th. Look at Earnhardt and Hut Strickland go at it.
Yeah, Waltrip really been putting the heat on Earnhardt, so Earnhardt's got to pick up the pace and get around Hut. Waltrip's car seemed to be really good. He was working on Earnhardt. He had to step up the pace and get around Hut.
Neil, one thing I've noticed, the inside lane does not seem to be that much of an advantage today. Second lane's just about as good as the bottom.
They've been bragging all week long on the radios. You can run high and low, but then they give up some. But they give up equally. You can run low or high, but the tires just give up a little bit after about 10 or 15 laps, but it's the same for everyone.
And here comes Labonte. He's moved up past Hut Strickland and moved up into 8th place. Bobby Labonte, and here comes Irvin. He has really stormed from 19 starting spots.
I noticed just then that Hut's car is hanging out a little bit. That's why he's up in the higher groove. When this thing starts getting loose on the bottom, you have to move up whether you want to or not.
End of the day for Shauna Robinson, apparently. So Irvin coming up now behind Hut Strickland, trying to tow Kenny Wallace with him.
They were looking at Ernie Irvin's car. Like I said, he lost 2 motors in practice. He lost some more down here. They were concerned with melt pistons, and when you have a repeated problem, they put that new engine in this morning. They don't know if they have it corrected. It would run 10 or 15 laps and lose a motor. There's a big question mark with the 4. How long will it run with that motor?
Well, we saw at New Hampshire, Irvin just run away from the field, but then succumbed to electrical problems at the halfway point. We are 12 laps into the AC-Delco 200 with Jeff Gordon leading. Here's Chuck Bound, the 4th place car. He's been running a Pontiac much of the season. We asked him why he switched to Chevrolet here.
Well, we've been having some trouble lately on the super speedways with the Pontiac bodies, but I think it's largely due to we hadn't been in a wind tunnel in 2 or 3 years. And without that opportunity, we went ahead and just tried the Lumina body on one of our same old race cars, and it's driving pretty good. I really like it.
18 laps complete at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Watching Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Labonte going at it for 6th spot. If the race ended right now with Joe Nemechek in 26th and Bobby Labonte in 7th, they would be tied for the point lead going to Hickory, the way the things sit right this moment. Here's Ernie Irvin now looking up and under Dale Earnhardt, who has dropped a notch back to 8th position.
Ernie borrowed that motor when he ran out of engines yesterday. Borrowed the motor from Earnhardt. He's got it in his car, and it seems to be working really good now.
Well, who's going to be more mad about this pass, Earnhardt or his car owner, his wife Teresa?
I think what the deal is, Ernie's car is handling it extremely
Trouble
well.
turn 2. One car goes sliding around, and everybody takes evasive action. That's Hermie Sadler out of Emporia, Virginia, driving an Oldsmobile, his first Rockingham Busch Grand National start, and it will bring out the first caution of the day at lap 20.
You know, Mike, if that had happened 5, 6 years ago, that would have caused about an 8 or 10 car pilot. These guys are getting a lot of experience on major speedways now, and everybody went up on the racetrack up high. They knew the guy would end up on the bottom part of the racetrack. And you don't see the major accidents like you used to see in the Busch Grand National races.
Good point. Let's have another look at what happened down in turn number 1.
Oh, me, he lost it going in the corner, Neil. He just looked like he went in a little bit hot and got sideways. And with these radials, you don't save them. But look at everybody going up high.
Nice move by Jeff Fuller in his first Busch Grand National start to shoot through the smoke and out of there.
Also, when he spun the car, he's locking the thing down. They tell him that at the rookie meets to hold the car down the inside. Watch him. If you get off the brakes right there and shoots back up the racetrack, he'll stop the car, roll it off. He did a good job keeping it out of the way.
And the thing is, he stopped in the groove, but everybody knew that he had to go to the bottom side of the racetrack, and everybody just automatically went up high.
Jeff Gordon had a 3-second lead when the yellow flag came out. Looks like most of the leaders will stay on the racetrack during what should be a brief caution flag. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker. Steve Evans and Glenn Jarrett on pit road. Jeff Gordon has now led over 1,100 laps this season. Robert Presley second in that category with 739 laps led. This is the 17th race that Gordon has led this year. Nobody else has led more than 9 races. Look at Joe Nemechek's car. He's mired back in 26th position right now under this first caution flag of the day for a harmless spin by Hermie Sadler. Let's find out from Glenn Jarrett what's going on.
Well, Mike, I came down to Joe's pit to check see if there was a problem as Bobby Labonte had gone forward in the field. Joe was backing up. Everybody down here says he's okay. He's just kind of sorting things out, taking his time, not in any hurry. It's a 200-mile race. He's just not going to get in any real hurry, take any unnecessary chances early on. But he can't afford to be too cautious because he's fallen way, way back. And as you said, the points title is even right now. Steve Evans?
Well, guys, as we've told you before, the tire rule varies with BG in races. And here at Rockingham, it was announced at the drivers' meeting, everybody gets 8 tires. That is their total inventory. They can use them any way they want. Put 4 on under yellow, 4 on under green. It doesn't matter. One stipulation. 4 of these tires must end up on the left side of the automobile and 4 on the right.
Thanks, Steve. Pit stops under this caution made by Hut Strickland, Tommy Houston, Bill Elliott, Tracy Leslie, and the car that brought out the caution, Hermie Sadler. We're getting set to go back to green. This time, the pace car has stretched the field. In fact, it's off the speedway. Jeff Gordon will bring them out of turn number 4. Right behind him, racing out of the same shop in the Busch Series, Mark Martin with that Winn-Dixie Ford. These 2 cars were the class of the field at Charlotte. Let's see if they pick up where they left off a couple of weeks ago. Ward Burton is 3rd, Chuck Bound is 4th, Harry Gann is 5th, 6th is Darrell Waltrip, 7th, Bobby Labonte, 8th is Ernie Irvin, 9th is Dale Earnhardt, and 10th is Kenny Wallace.
Mike, here we go. This is the only car that we've seen week in and week out that can race with Jeff Gordon. That's Mark Martin in the 60 car. There he goes passing Jeff. See, week in and week out, the 60 car seems to be as good as that 1 car.
You know what might have happened there? You're picking up a lot of rubber on the tires when you run around here under the caution. he might have had a little bit bigger build-up on his tires, and when he went down the corner, the car pushed out, and Mark got by him. But the one car was pulling away just before his pit stop, so we'll see if he has the dominance in about 5 or 6 more laps.
You know, Gordon was leading this race, and it said, tell me, that the leader cleans the racetrack for everybody else. Everything that gets kind of left by that whole field of cars, the leader comes around, gets to pick it all up when he goes by.
It's like walking in mud. If you got somebody in front of you that's making foot tracks, you don't get your feet in muddy.
I'll buy that. No muddiness today, no rain anywhere.
See what these two Fords aren't leaving any tracks, Mike. They're checking out tracks. They're flying.
There's Terry Labonte in 14. Jimmy Spencer driving the Davey Allison car right with him. Kenny Schrader up on the high side. And with them, Jeff Burton, who, remember, started in the scratch position, 41st, and has climbed 20 spots.
That's Jimmy Spencer and Davey Allison's car. Look, I mean, he's got that thing on the go, hasn't he, Neil?
Yeah, we didn't practice that much. Davey practiced the car and was going to qualify. Davey had a wreck in a car last weekend somewhere. He was concerned about it. He being the kind of street he needed to be tomorrow for the Wednesday Cup race. So Spencer driving him. He's doing a good job.
Jimmy Spencer only has 2 speeds: fast forward and headed to the house.
Oh, I thought you were going to say wide open and stop. That's about it.
It started 29th, but he's currently running 18th. He's a Texaco number 28 car. Rick Mast right in and amongst that group.
The 8 car right there behind Schrader's one's really been coming through the field. He's real strong right there.
Third place battle.
How about third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place battle? They're all in one right here.
Ward Burton, Chuck Bound, Harry Gant, and look at Ernie Irvin. He has flown up through this field after starting 19th.
Looks like the fuse might be a little bit longer on this motor.
Darrell Waltrip is there, and so is Bobby Labonte. Labonte now 8th after the restart, and Nemechek 22nd.
Harry Gant's beginning to move up on the racetrack. His car must be a little bit loose, and he's giving it a little bit more head going in the corner and using a little more racetrack.
And there we go, the change for the lead. But he was speculating a while ago that the one car was pulling away, and after he did get some laps on the tires, he was able to pass while Mark Martin take the lead.
Only 1 caution flag thus far, 2 lead changes. Gordon started on the pole.
Harry's fixing to get dangerous. He gets up on the top part of the racetrack. He uses more racetrack, but he gets around them, no matter how bad the car's handling.
Gant in the Mac Tools Buick goes on past Ward Burton from the Gwaltney's car. And Ernie Irvin is glued on a Gant's back bumper. Here's Robert Presley and Todd Bodine, again the 2 dark horses for the point chase, and they are running in tandem in 11th and 12th place, trying to get to the front.
Presley worked all yesterday afternoon on trying to run high where we saw Harry Gant a while ago. Presley was trying to cut that high groove in. He couldn't quite get it working right.
Now those 2 guys can't run like the Pointer sisters. They've got to go for all of it. It's win or bust.
Well, that's a nice approach to have racing. When you come in and say, man, I need to really think about points, or I need to do this, the thing to do is you need to race. And they just got to throw the stuff out the window and go after them. They don't have anything to lose.
Let's go back up to 3rd place, where Chuck Bound trying to hold off Ernie Irvin and Harry Gant.
The lap before that, Mike, I thought Harry had a little bit of trouble. The 4 car was putting a little bit of heat on Ernie. He was giving a little bit of trouble, and he just moved over and let him by it. And Harry's going to try to cut that outside lane in. If anybody can do it, Harry can do it.
What he does, if he ever gets that line cut in the racetrack, his straightaway speeds are a lot faster by using more racetrack. So, if he can get it cut in and other people move up with him, he'll be a factor in just a little while.
This battle for 3rd, 3.5 seconds behind the leader, Jeff Gordon. We told you earlier that Chuck Bound had switched from Pontiac to Chevrolet. Note that Ernie Irvin, who drives a Chevy on Sundays on the Cup circuit, is in an Oldsmobile for today's race.
With a Buick motor. They better get it straight. We were seeing motors switching around all week. So if it's got something that says GM, you put it in any car and let it rip.
And Harry Gant, who drives an Oldsmobile on Sundays, is in a Buick today. Going to be some changes in the rules for this series. We'll talk to you about that a little later. Bill Elliott, the veteran, battling Jeff Fuller, the modified champ and the rookie here. We asked Jeff Fuller yesterday about making his first Busch Grand National start after clinching the mod title last week.
I really can't let the pressure get to me. They're not putting any pressure on me whatsoever, and I really don't feel like there's much pressure at all on me because it's not like I'm running for the modified points anymore. We've already got that championship sewed up. So I just got to kind of relax and go with the flow.
The Nashville Network's exclusive coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is being brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. While we were away, Mark Martin took the lead. Jeff Gordon took it right back. Now, how hard are these guys running? It looks like they're having a lot of fun out there.
I'll tell you, when a car is working as well as these two cars are, they're having fun right now. They're racing each other. Look at this. Now, Mark's on the bottom side, and Jeff just gives him a little bit of room, falls in behind him. He says, I'll get you in a second, pal.
And that he did. Came right back as we came back and retook the lead.
I'll tell you, when you got two cars that strong, you can play. And we just mentioned Jeff Gordon's virtually out of the thing for the championship. And here's Mark Martin coming over from Winston Cup. These guys are having a field day right now. It looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Two Fords out in front of the field.
I can remember a couple of years ago, Ford was taboo in this type of racing. And now here they are at the front of the pack and moving away.
Jeff Burton, talk about moving away. He's moving up. Started 41st, now running 18th. Just ahead of Jimmy Spencer. Coming up smartly through the field. The TIC Financial Olds had its qualifying time disallowed, but is moving back up. Lapping past, I believe it's the David Donahue car, would be Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin. If you added up all the couldas, wouldas, and shouldas that Jeff Gordon had this year, we wouldn't be talking about a point chase right now, would we?
No, I tell you what, this kid is something. Everybody said when he goes to Winston Cup next year, he'll be on the shelf for a couple of years. I don't buy that. I think he's going to be a major contender right away.
But he might be on the shelf, but it could be the top shelf. He's been doing a lot of testing, and he's ran exceptionally well in all his tests for Hendrick, so he could be a factor right off the bat.
Mark Martin doing a little Saturday driving to augment his Sunday stint with the Jack Roush car, holding for second. Here come the point chasers from the Wayback Machine, trying to get back up to the front. Todd Bodine and Robert Presley. Bodine working underneath.
Neil, I would say these two cars right here, we're talking about the Fords having a good time. They're racing again and not worrying about points. And that's a load off of a race car driver when he can go back to trying to win races instead of trying to protect the point lead.
Bodine is intent. If the race ended right now, he would close to within 104 points of the lead. Bobby Labonte would be just 10 points behind Joe Nemechek in the title chase. Still within striking distance, and so too is Robert Presley. Looking out the back of Kenny Wallace's car, the Dirt Devil Pontiac.
You know, that's a pretty sight right there, looking out of the back glass. As long as you're not looking out of the windshield and see them coming like that. I've done that a few times.
Going the wrong direction.
There's a look at the points if things ended up right now.
I tell you what, that's a lot of heat on the 36 car right there. These guys have ran a lot of laps together, and they're both discussing going to Winston Cup racing. In this division here, these two guys have been dominant all season long, and they're sitting there working each other right down.
We had a softball game the other night for Clifford Allison's family, and I tell you, the Busch Grand National guys almost beat the Winston Cup drivers, but the main thing, we had a tremendous turnout and over $20,000 for the family.
That's just a great outpouring of affection and appreciation for the whole Allison family and the sport. That they raised $20,000 there the other night, and donations are still welcome for the Cliff Allison Trust Fund. And here's Joe Nemechek, 20th place. He's moved up 6 notches since we last saw him.
Now, see, he's racing for points. He has the lead. He's the guy with the good cards right now.
Look, Joe, buddy, I was kind of surprised a while ago. You almost seemed shocked that the young guys almost beat the old guys. They're supposed to.
Well,
they run a little quicker. They're supposed to hit it further.
It was a great game, and I tell you what I found out. Bodine and all these boys, they're good athletes. Not only race car drivers, they're good athletes, too.
You have to be to spend a couple hours in one of these cars and maintain both the strategy and the control and ability to run hard and win. Kenny Wallace has this mirror full of Robert Presley.
I was fixing to say, that last shot we had on there, it looked like Robert Presley was running 10 miles an hour faster than he was up over the corner.
And Todd Bodine has left these two to battle for 10th position. Bodine just ahead of them in 9th. Kenny moves up to Winston Cup next year. Dirt Devil will go along as sponsor. Robert Presley, as of the moment, intends to spend next season in this Busch Grand National division and contend for the championship.
I'll tell you, Presley really impresses me. Every time we talk to him, he's got his head on straight. He says, can you win a championship? Well, we got a chance at it. He doesn't get all that excited. He lays back. But man, I tell you, he's a racer. He might not be leading this race, but there's so much potential in the 59 car for that guy to do what he was doing his career.
Back up front, Mark Martin keeping close tabs on Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin has led 9 races in 13 starts, has 1 win this season, and came right here in the spring race.
Something I don't understand that. I mean, that looked like effort was passing there. Unless they are putting on a show, I don't know what's going on here.
Well, we said they were having a good time a while ago. They might be giving those hand signals. You lead a little bit, and I'll lead a little bit. Because they actually work hand in hand with those cars. The guys work together, and they're capable of doing that, pass the lead around.
Let's go back to 5th place, where Darrell Waltrip's trying to hold off the number 2 point man, Bobby Labonte.
That's going to be the guy I think is the sleeper for the championship. Well, not a sleeper because they won it last year, but look at this car, how well it's working, Neil. He closes in on Darrell like 2 or 3 car lengths getting in the corner. Great motors in this car, and that boy is a heads-up driver.
At the North Carolina Motor Speedway, 56 laps have been completed of 197. The Fords are out front. "62 laps complete here at Rockingham. Good news for the Ford fans as Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon are out front. Bad news for point leader Joe Nemechek. He's just about 4 seconds from being lapped by that fleet of Fords. Good battle back here. Back at 18th position is number 8, Jeff Burton, trying to fight his way through this pack of traffic, led by Jim Bound, who had a good qualifying run. Ward Burton, who started outside pole, number 27, has dropped well back in the field. 5th place race. Darrell Waltrip at 17, the Western Auto car, the Slim Jim car of Bobby Labonte. Picked up an important win last week in Martinsville, Virginia, in the Winston Classic. Really narrow up the point lead.
You know, you're showing Darrell right there. You talk about a driver that knows how to accommodate a slick racetrack. Now, he's one of the best. And when they said 8 tires, I started thinking Darrell Waltrip might be a factor in this race.
Because he'll get the good out of his 8. He won't be sitting there spinning the wheels and burning them up. Him and Gaines also really takes care of that car. And later in the race, we're going to hear from him.
That 93, the blue and white car, is the Auto Palace car of Joe Bessie from out of New England. Burned up the NASCAR North Tour and having a good run here today. Jeff Burton going to follow along underneath. They're moving up on Richard Lassiter, who's a lap down. We're a little tough on Richard last week, and perhaps should be mindful of the fact that everybody's trying hard out there to do their best.
Look at these 2 brothers. They're very close in the points, and look at them race each other. You know, they remind me of Bobby and Donnie when they used to run. They'd race each other harder than they did anybody else.
Jeff Burton in 8, Ward Burton in 27. Here's a field standing update brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. These standings as of 50 laps right now, we're running lap 67 of 197 today.
Together. You know, Ward had to start this race a little apprehensive after that motor change, and it looked like he's not quite as good as he was when he qualified with another engine.
When I said Bobby and Donnie, I act like everybody knows everybody in racing. I'm talking about the Allison brothers. They used to race each other like the Burton boys do now. I mean, they really get at it.
Buddy, I knew who you were talking about when you said Bobby and Donnie.
Jeff Gordon in a Ford, and Ford has won only 1 of 18 Busch Grand National races here. Martin did it, driving for Bill Davis, Jeff Gordon's car owner. Let's check in with Steve Evans.
Well, you know, guys, it's so loud down here. We often communicate with crew chiefs via hand signals, and that man, Bill Davis, the owner and crew chief on the Jeff Gordon number 1 car, looked over at me and he put his hand out flat and then turned the heel of the hand to the right. And that's the universal signal, the car is loose. He is not letting Martin stay out front because he wants to. He doesn't have that much of a race car underneath him. They already have the ratchet and the extension ready to make an adjustment to that chassis, and they have right side tires ready to go on if and when they get a yellow.
Only 1 yellow thus far today. Came out of lap number 20 for Hermie Sadler's spin down in turn number 1. No contact. No further incident.
this car, Jeff Gordon's here. If you ever wanted a young man to contend with a loose race car, he's driven the sprint cars, the little midgets, and they run a lot of sideways racing. And Gordon, even though his car is loose, is still capable of leading the race. He can handle a loose race car, and it pays off right now.
Lapping past Ricky Craven, who will be the Rookie of the Year in this series.
You know, I think that's one advantage that Mark Martin might have over Jeff, though. He's running the heavier cars. Jeff just got out of midgets and sprint cars, and now he's into Busch Grand National. And I think that Mark Martin understands what he needs to do to the car for long runs a little bit better than Jeff does at the moment.
Let's go back and pick up the race for 10th spot, buddy. That number 14 car is Terry Labonte, running in 10th. There's Kenny Wallace. He is 12th. Robert Presley between Labonte and Wallace in 11th spot.
Man, listen to that little old six-cylinder whine. I'll tell you what, they turn them like they're V8s anymore. They turn the heck out of them.
Turning meaning what, 8,500 RPM, 8,000, 8,500?
Probably 82, 8,300 here, which is a lot of RPM for a six-cylinder motor.
What's amazing about it, they have such a small carburetor on them to be able to turn that. It really works them out.
10th place, the battle here. There will be a few changes on this circuit next season, not too many. But the 93 Busch Grand National cars will differ from their Winston Cup counterparts in only 3 areas next year. The wheelbase for Busch will stay at 105 inches, as it is right now. They'll have V6, not V8 engines like the Winston Cup cars, and the weight will remain 3,200 pounds, but everything else will be the same. Same templates, and everything. And one change that's really been asked for by these teams, they will get to use the cambered rear end, as used in Winston Cup, on the Busch cars next season.
That's the best thing you said out of everything they're doing is the cambered rear. That gets the footprint of the tire on the racetrack and makes them handle much better.
4th place. Rather you saw there, Darrell Waltrip and Ernie Irvin. A couple of Winston Cuppers. They've become interlopers in this series now. It used to be, Neil, when you were running Winston Cup on a regular basis, you could hop in a Busch car on Saturday and pick up some strong pocket change. That's not easy anymore.
Now, these Busch guys, they fight for their money. You used to roll in here and say, man, we'll go over there and get some of those guys' money and have a good time on Saturday. But when you get their money, you've worked for it for the days over. These Busch cars have just as good equipment. Oh, me, man, right in the middle of it right there, Ernie Irvin. But I'll tell you what, when you beat them now, you've earned your money.
Back to the race for 10. Tommy Houston has made an unscheduled pit stop. And Joe Nemechek, the point leader, has gone a lap down to leader Mark Martin.
I'll tell you what, before everybody goes in shock, it's not something unusual for these cars. These Fords to be lapping at the paces they're running right now. They're going to put a lot of this field a lap down the way they're running.
10th place battle you're watching right now, once again, headed up by Terry Labonte. There's a report in one of the racing papers that you could see a lot more of those Fords on this circuit next season. Tommy Houston has already announced that he is switching to Ford Thunderbirds next year for Busch Grand National competition, and there's rumors of several other teams going to Ford as well, including Jeff Burton, Dave Rezendes, Robert Presley, the Moroso car, and possibly Todd Bodine might all switch to Ford next season, it was reported.
I think when this thing first started, buddy, you know, there were just 1 or 2 of them. Then they got to be a few more. Now they've got that motor program developed, and there's more parts available, so they're going to branch out and pick up a lot of teams. And I tell you what, the rest of these guys are going to be tough to try to handle.
It's great how the interest picks up when you have a car that can win a race. You know, nobody wanted a Ford a couple of years back. Now everybody wants one.
On pit road, Ward Burton. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Ward Burton brings the 27 Gwaltney's car in. He has really dropped back through the pack. They're going to the right track to change tires. I saw one of the guys, but I got too many men over the wall right now. As soon as one comes back, and there he goes to make that chassis adjustment. The car evidently has gotten real loose. Let's clarify one thing on that tire rule. They can change any number of tires they want to under green flag conditions. The 8 tire limit is only under caution, 4 left, 4 right. They're having some problems now. They had a problem getting the jack down, so this is real costly. He's even having a problem keeping the car running, so bad pit stop for Ward Burton.
Ward Burton will go at least a lap down, maybe 2.
Oh, look at that left rear tire. It's up under the car, and then they don't have the lug nuts on it.
It fell off the jack, and it looked like he had it geared, it backed up, and then it fell down on the tire. They're having a lot of problem with the jack.
He's got some of Robert Presley's leftover bad luck from last week. This pit stop will go over 1 minute.
I tell you, had nothing but bad luck. They qualified good and lost an engine.
Glenn Jarrett?
Also, there was a problem with, Ward was having a problem getting the car into gear. That's why he had the car in reverse. He didn't ever want the car in reverse. He was trying to get the car in the first gear. It wouldn't go. When he took off, it still wasn't in low gear.
When they changed that engine, they had trouble bleeding the clutch. They were still working on it just before the start of this race. So Burt was looking forward to coming back here to Rockingham, where he won in March.
Well, we've gotten a little bit behind here with the radio tires the last 3 or 4 months, but we just brought the car back like we were. From what I understand, Goodyear's got a little more stagger in it, so the cars are getting a little loose, but it's just a combination. You know, we hit up on something we were testing there last year. The tracks have been pretty good to us.
We are under caution, and you see the reason why. Bobby Dotter had made a pit stop under the green flag. One of those tires got away and kind of had a mind of its own. It was going to roll back to the factory in Indiana and got as far as turn 4. So out came the caution.
They have the flag out right now, not allowing anyone to stop until they get that tire out of the way. So this guy, he's not sure whether he wants to run across and get that thing yet.
You know,
Mark Martin had built up almost a 3-second lead over Jeff Gordon's car, so he had everything going for him. He didn't want to see the show, I'm sure.
Pit road has been opened, and the 2 leaders will come down pit lane. Martin and Gordon, so will Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip. Ernie Irvin is in. Bobby Labonte will come to pit lane. Todd Bodine is in. Chuck Bound, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Robert Presley, Kenny Schrader, Kenny Wallace, Dave Resendiz all making pit stops as you watch the Winn-Dixie crew working. And the Bill Davis crew.
We saw him on Mark Martin cranking some wedge in that car. Not only was the one car a little concerned, Mark Martin made some big chassis adjustments on his car.
You know, the great cars here, Neil, you change them all day long. No matter how good the chassis is, you have to chase it all day and hope you end up with the last car on the last pit stop.
It's real content to go way back to the rear a lot of times. You got to be willing to make those changes.
Martin will lose a couple of spots on the racetrack after that pit stop. Harry Gant gets out first. Martin will be second. Jeff Gordon third. We go back to green. 86 laps complete. Sneaking up on halfway here. Joe Nemechek stayed out on the racetrack. Not sure if he got credited with leading that lap. He is not the leader. He was a lap down, and that would get Nemechek perhaps on the tail end of the lead lap. But now that he's made his pit stop, he'll fall back in line.
Him staying out there, he didn't make that choice. If you're a lap down, you're not allowed to stop with the leader, so he had to make that extra lap before he come in the pits.
Vic Kangas has the wrench on the right rear in Nemechek's car.
He looks like he's just playing with it, though. He's not ripping. Let's see, 1, 2. That's not too bad.
Let's go see if he does some on the left rear. He did one on the right rear. He might do it. No, he's content with one chassis adjustment.
Steve Evans?
Well, Bill Davis, Jeff Gordon got the yellow. You all got the yellow you needed just about the right time.
Yeah, we needed it. Mark's running awful hard. He's setting a heck of a pace. But I think we'll be all right. We adjusted on the car, tightened up a little bit with the sun out for 2 weeks. So we should be better.
Okay, we'll be watching. Thanks. Average speed of this race was 128 miles an hour at the time of the caution. Sam Ard holds the record, 116. Harry Gant, this man, holds the record for this race, 111 miles an hour. Average speed. This caution will slow things down a bit, and Gant will be the leader.
Oh boy, I tell you what, he's one of the hardest men in the world to run down when he's out front like that.
Mac Tools Buick, Ed Whitaker car. Up front, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, I'm in Bobby Labonte's pits. Bobby came in for a routine 4-tire change. They didn't have to make any chassis adjustments. One of the things we got to look at now, guys, we've run well past 85 laps, and that is, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, will they have to make another stop? I asked Bob Labonte. He looked at the scoreboard. He said it's really, really close. So you're going to see some guys try to stretch it the rest of the way if we don't have another caution flag.
There's Labonte, second place point man. He would be 22 points behind Joe Nemechek if they drop the checkered flag right now. Todd Bodine would be 85 laps back. We'll be here tomorrow live on TNN with the AC-Delco 500 for the NASCAR Winston Cup cars. Kyle Petty on the pole for the 5th straight race at Rockingham. You'll see it live, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, only on TNN Motorsports. We're under caution, and we'll be right back. Harry Gant leading Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. TNN's exclusive coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. We're back under green. Mark Martin past Harry Gant to retake the lead. Jeff Gordon now running for second. Darrell Waltrip for third. As Gant begins to drift back a little bit. I'll show you what happened here on the first lap of green just 2 ago, as Mark Martin got underneath Harry Gant.
They got under.
And they're in trouble at the back straightaway. A pile of cars coming out of turn number 2. We can't tell you any more than you can see until that dust clears. It's about 6 of them in there, or more. That's Tom Peck coming out.
Yeah, big crash. His car's all over this daughter.
Is that Robert Presley or Jeff Burton? Bill Elliott's believed to be in it.
Neil Bonnett's son was in it. Looks like he's got problems with the right front corner. I can't really
Here we go. They're spinning off the corner. It's hard to tell. There's so many. There's a 08 car of daughter up front. Cars all over the place.
Steve Grissom's in it.
About 8 cars, it looks like.
We'll red flag the race for this one.
Yeah, so much wreck on the back straightaway they can't get through there.
There's Elliott, left side of the screen.
The problem there, you see the smoke. If you're coming through there and you're a car length back, you can't tell what's going on.
It's no different than us sitting here trying to make the call what happened. We can't see it to tell you what happened on the track, and when you're driving the race car, it's just going into a fog. You can't see what's going on.
See if we might get a different view or an earlier view of how that one got started, but the red flag will come out here at lap number 95 because the backstretch is pretty much blocked.
32 cars. We've got a picture
Yeah,
of that.
that's Hermie Sadler on the back straightaway. David Donahue's car is also stopped there. Bill Elliott has made it to pit road, you can see.
With part of his car. Really a lot of damage front and rear on the car.
Folks, the reason they red flag the race, they have a lot of debris over there, and it's useless to take all these cars by there, maybe get a cut tire and somebody not realize it and start the race back and then have a big accident from it.
David Donahue, number 96, the green and blue car you saw there. Piece of debris out on the racetrack. And Bill Elliott's behind the wall. Glenn?
Bill Elliott has brought the Budweiser Ford in. You can see the tremendous damage to the car here. Bill, what happened out there?
Let me get my helmet off.
Okay, he's still unhooking right now. You can see that, again, you saw the tremendous damage to the front of this car. It's just as bad on the back end. It's amazing this thing is still rolling. Now Bill is unhooked there. Bill, what happened out there?
Them guys was racing like it was the last lap. I mean, and a couple of them got sideways, and I could have got stopped, but somebody tagged me in the rear and turned me, and then I just got hit on every corner.
Well, you can hear the tone in his voice saying he does not approve of what went on, and rightfully so at this point in the race.
Well, better luck tomorrow for Elliott when we show you the AC-Delco 500 flag to flag live. Steve Grissom is in there.
Here we go. We'll see if we can get a little bit better shot. We see him coming off the corner. It looks like the 8 car.
Otter, 08.
08 got sideways. There goes Presley by on the outside.
And Fuller by on the outside.
Fuller. He makes it through. And this is when the daughter's coming back up across the racetrack. There's Elliott. He said he got hit in the rear. We saw him get sideways.
Yeah,
coming in there. There was the 31 of Grissom. Here's the other shot back straight. We might see a little bit better, buddy.
I could see a little more of what happened. Daughter's car was hit by a white car. I cannot make out the number, but he was tagged in the left rear corner, and that's what started all this.
Yeah, they're out there at the wall. I see David climbing the wall out there.
He just ran out of room. He almost had that missed.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I did my opening for the show, folks. I tell you, that's a very narrow place coming out there. There's 4 lanes there, but there's only about a car length that you can use.
Yeah, buddy, I promise them. You didn't go out there and put them stripes down. They put them down there every day. All that skid marks on that track.
There's more now than there were a while ago. You saw Steve Grissom's car in that. We say a quick hello to Darren Campbell up the Steve Grissom team, who's in Riverview Hospital after an industrial accident. Hope he's well soon. Steve with 1 win this year out of this race. We are red flagged at 95 laps. We'll update you from the incident scene and along pit road in a moment. Mark Martin leads under this red flag stoppage for the accident on the back straightaway. We'll be back to North Carolina Motor Speedway right after these messages. We're back at the North Carolina Motor Speedway with the AC-Delco 200. I'm Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker. Steve Evans and Glenn Jarrett have had a busy time of it down along pit road. Let's go back toward the hospital area.
Well, I'm standing by with Steve Grissom. First of all, Steve, glad to see you're okay. What happened back there?
Oh, yeah, I'm all right, Glenn. I just come off turn 2 there, and the car got sideways and sort of backed off. And everybody was pretty tight there and wasn't nowhere for anybody to go, and it just kind of started stacking up and turning around from there.
Well, glad to see you're okay. Hope you have better luck next week. Some of the other guys were in there. There didn't appear to be anybody really seriously injured, maybe a couple of them shaken up.
No, but everybody that was in there when I was in there is all right.
Well, that's good to hear. Another driver has stepped out now. Hermie Sadler appeared to be the guy who was the most dazed. He did walk in the care center under his own power. He will be out shortly, and we'll try to get a word with him.
Let's go to Steve Evans.
All right, guys, I'm with Vic Kangas, who's crew chief for Joe Nemechek. You're down a lap. Those aren't happy words.
No, it's not. We had anticipated the weather being just a little bit hotter than what it is, and we put too tight a setup in the car for this, this type of weather condition, and we made some adjustments on that last pit stop, and hopefully we can get back on the lap again.
Well, no one likes to see these red flags, but you wouldn't mind seeing maybe a couple of more yellows before this thing is over.
You're right there. Yeah, we're going to try real hard to get the Texas Pete Lazito Chevrolet back up front, and we need to do that for the championship points, plus, just to salvage a good finish out of this thing.
Thank you, Vic. All right, back to Glenn Jarrett.
And now Bobby Dotter has stepped out of the care center, and he is okay, but I think he knows what happened. Bobby, tell us about it.
Well, I was running on the outside, and coming off the corner, it appeared as though the 20 car, Jeff Fuller, got into the back of me and turned me around, and I pretty much blocked the track up, and everyone just started wrecking from there.
All right, the other guys that are in there, though, Steve Grissom said it looked like everybody was okay. Doesn't look like anybody's too seriously hurt.
Yeah, I think everyone's pretty much okay. It was not real hard contact in a lot of the cases. Cars just sliding around.
Been kind of a tough year on you. You've had several of these big crashes.
Lately here, we went the first part of the year without much crashing, but things have turned around here lately for the worse. But I just want to hang in there and thank the head of help for this weekend, and Debbie Hanatansky supplied some money for us to come to this race, and we're just sorry we couldn't do our better job.
Well, better luck next time at Hickory. Steve?
I have a question for Buddy and Neil up there. Guys, when you drive your passenger car and it's a fairly warm day and you're cooking along okay and you shut it off, all of a sudden with that hot water just sitting in the block and the water pump not circulating it, your temperature gauge goes up dramatically, and sometimes the car can become hard to start. Is that a problem here?
It shouldn't be a problem on a major speedway. On a short track where you don't get air through the radiator, you build up a lot more temperature, I think, than you do on a major speedway. But the big problem is they run a bunch of, they have electric fans on these cars now, so they can run those things and get them cooled down before they even cranking them up.
Buddy, I think the only thing is, Steve, the only thing I would think would be a problem, we see them before the race with these little bitty electric generators keeping the oil temperature warm. If they sit there for an extended period of time, they run such a thick oil in these cars. If they sit there for an extended period of time, the oil thickens back up, and it can hurt the bearings when you crank them up. That's the reason you see the little temperature devices keeping the oil warm before the race. So it's going to take a long time for them to cool down, but if they stay there for a long extended time, that would be the only thing I would see as a problem.
Neil, one thing Bobby Dotter said, he was talking about that young lady from Cheshire, Connecticut. As we look at the front end of Mike Rich's car, he's out on the speedway and is going to need some repairs before he goes back to green. She had seen him run in a race, wrote him a letter, said she liked the way he drove, really enjoyed it, and was there a way she could get more involved? And he says, well, we got all these quarter panels on the car that are kind of empty. And so she, this individual race fan, sponsored their car for Rockingham for this race. Sorry they didn't have a better finish. Let's go back down toward the pits.
Well, this young man is Hermie Sadler. I said he looked a little shaken when he went into the infield care center, but you appear to be okay now, Hermie.
Yeah, just a little shaken up, Things, some of the guys came in and got tires, and, here at Rockingham, when you got new tires, you got to go while you can. I think everybody was trying to get everything they could get the first couple laps there, and cars got tied up in front of us, and everybody got on the brakes at one time. In a situation like that, it's really nothing you can do. But I got hit a couple times, but I think everybody's okay.
Well, this was your first trip to Rockingham, kind of a rude welcoming.
Yeah, things were so good going into this. We qualified well and weren't running quite as well in the races as I wanted to, but we come in and made some changes, and I thought we were going to be a whole lot better. But we never got a chance to finish, but maybe I can come back again and try again.
Well, you've run a few Busch Grand National races in the last few weeks. Will we see you some more next year?
I hope so.
the problem is with this series getting sponsors, but before you can do that, you got to go out in front of a lot of people and show your talent. So that's what I'm trying to do now, but days like today don't help, but we'll be back and try them again.
Well, I tell you, folks, if attitude has anything to do with it, he'll make it. He's got a great attitude, and he obviously speaks well in the camera. Better luck next time, Hermie.
Thanks, Glenn.
Hermie Sadler out of it today. We're under the red flag here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. If the race ended right now, and this is a red flag, but we will get back to racing as they refire the motors. Here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, there is Mark Martin in the lead. Jeff Gordon, the 5th place point man, in 2nd. Darrell Waltrip is 3rd. Todd Bodine is up to the 4th spot. He would be the 3rd place point man if the race ended right now. Harry Gant is 5th. Bobby Labonte in number 44, the point standing runner-up, is 6th. He would be 2nd in the points, only 19 out of the lead. Then it's Dale Earnhardt, Chuck Bown, Robert Presley, and Ernie Irvin, the top 10 right this moment. Steve Evans.
Well, Bob Labonte, Sr., right now you're in a pretty good situation points-wise with Nemechek a lap down.
Well, we are, you know, but he don't have a whole lot to lose here today. He can ride this thing out and lose a few points. He won't get hurt, but the Slim Jim Chevrolet's pretty good today, and we're going as hard as we can. We're going for it. If we do it, fine. If we don't, still fine.
That's our favorite kind of racing, right, guys?
You bet, Steve. Bob Labonte. If the race ended right now, his son would be 19 points out of the lead. Going to Hickory, Nemechek would be the point leader. Labonte would be 2nd. Todd Bodine would be 3rd. He'd only be 77 points out, and he would have a shot. Jeff Fuller's car having trouble getting restarted. Dick Moroso Daly's first aid car would get a push from the record.
Well, I think Robert touched on, you know, the cars we drank.
Yeah.
I think that one with a problem.
Robert Presley would be 4th in the points. He'd be out of it, so would Jeff Gordon. And we got a bumper dragging on the Ed Barrier Grease Lightning car. There's a look at how the points would stand. These 3 drivers would be in contention. Going to Hickory, Nemechek would have a 19-point lead over Labonte and a 77-point lead over Todd Bodine. But it's not ending, of course. We still have 101 laps to go. The red flag was out for 11 minutes as they cleaned up the back straightaway. Glenn Jarrett.
This is Steve Mill, crew chief on Mark Martin's car. He gets practice on Saturday as well as Mark does. Steve, looks like that car's running awfully well right now.
Yeah, we were a little bit loose to start. We put some wedging in that last caution there. And he says he's in pretty good shape on sticker tires. There's a question about how far we can go on field, but we're not going to pit this time. It's too soon. There'll be another caution. We'll be okay.
You sure about that?
Well, I wasn't sure for a long time, but they're going to start hitting now. Everything will be all right.
Okay. That's pretty bad when a guy says it'll be okay when everybody starts hitting everybody.
They're going to start hitting, Glenn? What do we just see? There's Mark Martin, the Winn-Dixie Ford. And Jeff Fuller's car has been pushed to pit road by the wrecker. Butch Miller is also in the pits as well. Last week's 3rd place finisher at Martinsville.
I noticed they're raising the hood on Fuller's car right now, so he's got a little more problems and it won't start. Believe me, he's got some ignition trouble or something.
Tomorrow, Winston Cup racing from here at Rockingham, and Sunday, November 1st, the Pyroil 500. Live from Phoenix International Raceway. We'll be there next Sunday, November 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 Central, live and only on TNN Motorsports.
Phoenix, that's some good racing out there. That racetrack really, you know, everybody was concerned when we talked about going out there and Winston Cup cars, how would they run there? Boy, it's been a great show every time we've been out.
Darrell Waltrip there lined up. 2 behind the pace car. Here's Joe Nemechek. He is 1 lap down. He's the Busch Grand National point leader, and this car will stay in this division but change colors next year. The Warner Lambert Company, one of the Fortune 100 companies out of New York, announced that Dentyne, the chewing gum people, will sponsor Nemechek in 1993 in the Busch Grand National Series.
They couldn't have a better guy, I'll guarantee you. He's fun to be around, tremendous race car driver, and I seen the car the other day. It's really pretty.
Those of you building models, buy some metallic red paint, get ready. It's going to look just like the gum pack, naturally. We'll go back to green after a few caution laps to get things back up to temperature. Here's the way they're running. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, Todd Bodine, and Harry Gant are the front 5. 100 laps to go. TNN Motorsports' exclusive coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is brought to you by Mellow Yellow and Kyle Petty. There's nothing mellow about it. Going back to green at lap 101. Just past halfway, and look at him stream into the corner.
Spencer up on the top, and Davey Allison's car trying to get a lap back. After running high from the outside, there he comes down to the inside. That's Strickland running second there.
Good run for Strickland today. That's Stanley Toole's car. There's Spencer moving up on Jim Bound. Back to turn one. And squeeze play. Spencer drops in line behind Bound. Jim's had a good run here at Rockingham.
Look at Todd Bodine, though. He just went up and passed Spencer going through there.
Let's correct that. Hut Strickland's lap down. One lap back.
He was trying to get a lap back. I thought he was in the lead lap, but he was actually trying to get a lap back.
The man who's going to pile up the points right now is that 34 car, Todd Bodine. But look at the company he's got. Let's do a quick rundown for you. The cars involved in that grinding crash in the backstretch. Bobby Dotter, Bill Elliott, David Bonnet, Hermie Sadler, Steve Grissom, Tom Peck, Mike Wallace, Tommy Houston, David Donahue, all out of the race. Ed Barrier, Michael Rich, and Ricky Craven were able to continue. From the root cam on Kenny Wallace's car. Kenny running in 10th place.
Neil, I believe that's the most authentic looking. As far as the way the driver sees the racetrack, I think that's the best camera angle that we ever have on.
You got to get in. You see him get to the inside. That's just, get in there, roll out of the throttle. He's got the car on the outside of him now. Good, smooth-looking shot from the top of that car, isn't it?
I tell you what, he's handling pretty good down the straightaway, too. Did you see how he went by Burton then?
Looked like Burton might have been having a little bit of trouble. He dropped to the inside as he went by so quickly.
Yeah, that's Jeff Burton. I believe he's dropped off the pace a bit. That will pick Wallace up a notch. Add Tommy Houston to the cars that were in that wreck, but still continue on the racetrack. 104 laps out of 197.
Look at Ernie Irvin's car there. You talk about a car that's handling super good. He can go anywhere he wants to.
He's got his hands full, though, with Robert Presley in the Alliance car 59.
Not for long.
Now, talk about a second-generation race team. Presley's dad was a late model sportsman champion, and his crew chief, Ricky Pearson, David's son.
I guarantee you, and I tell you what, his dad could drive a race car like nobody around on the flat racetracks, but Presley is just a very gifted driver. I think he's got a brilliant future in racing.
We're looking at Jeff Burton here in the black car. We talked about just a lap before, buddy, how quickly he went by. He moved up from the very rear of the field into contention, and now something's happened to his car. He's just riding it out on the inside. Must have had some kind of motor problem. The car was so strong early after the problem they had in qualifying, and now he's going to have to be. There you see him waving the guy off behind him to move to the outside.
Yep.
He's just telling him, hey, I'm just going as hard as I can go. You're going to go around the outside. To stay inside.
I think he's got a valve down in that car. All down the straightaway in the corner, he runs almost as fast as the other cars around him.
Yeah, and in this series, when you only have 6 cylinders to start with and you lose one.
Yeah, you're running out of things to work with.
That's right. Jeff Burton came into this race 9th place in the point standings as Jimmy Spencer battles Darrell Waltrip. And we remind you once again, as we did last week, only the top 10, not just get invited to the season-ending banquet, but only the top 10 teams get to go because the banquet's otherwise sold out. So Jeff Burton, if they want to enjoy that meal in Charlotte in January, going to have to do it at Pickering.
And there's a lot of, that's good for your sponsors. Anytime you can go to that deal and take your sponsors and you sit at the head table or just be involved with it goes a long way with your sponsorship. And these guys all think about that side of it.
Ninth place at stake here. That is Chuck Bound. Ernie Irvin's just ahead in 8th. Earnhardt is there. Then Presley. And Kenny Wallace. Let's go up to 4th place. Bobby Labonte trying to hold off High Groove Harry Gant.
Yeah, Buddy said a while ago, Harry's running a mile on half track. The rest of them are running a mile. Earlier, watch him go in here. He'll take off. Here comes Ernie on the inside.
Look at Ernie, though.
Harry's not slipping there. Harry races up there. He's been running that high groove all day.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Ernie goes anywhere he wants to. He'll go right on by again, I believe.
That's 5th place at stake. Labonte holds the 5th spot. They passed Tracy Leslie. In Bobby Labonte's last 4 races, he has finished 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and 1st. What a stretch drive. Reggie Jackson would be proud of this kid.
I think earlier in the season, the Labontes had almost said, hey, man, we were in problem with the points thing. We're out of it. And they hit such a good streak right there. I think it almost shocked them that they got back so close and now really a serious contender to win the championship again.
This is the same car, and look at 59, Robert Presley. They have brought the same car here to Rockingham, in which they've won all 5 of their races this year.
There's Harry again underneath the car.
Well, Harry got on the inside, but he couldn't stay down there. Harry used to run high. He just barely cleared him and went high right front of the body, and there comes the 4 car directly under him.
I know Ernie's happy. That lap traffic cut him off 2 or 3 times when he got up under Harry, and he couldn't make the pass.
5th place is this battle. And Irvin will take it. Kodak Oldsmobile. Ahead of that Mack Buick and the Slim Jim Chevrolet.
Look at the different lines that the 2 guys take. Both of them are doing a great job, but there's a variance in the 2 cars as far as what Gant does. He goes in, just lets the car slide across the racetrack.
Look at that line of Harry's going in the corner. You swear he was going to knock the wall down right there.
Folks, this is a planned wreck. He's up there on purpose. Harry just takes that part. He never has to worry about anyone being in his way up there.
No.
You see him, I don't know how many times I've touched Joe Lex again, fix the wreck, but he's not. He's up there in no man's land. Look at Labonte. Labonte's a smart race car driver. Buddy's pointing at him right here. He saw Gant. He said, well, I better try some of that because Gant's moving on pretty good up there.
You know, that wasn't a race for him last week at Martinsville. He watched Mark Martin move up in the racetrack and get better traction off the corner. So he said, why not try it and see what I do? And what they do, they call their spotter and say, give me the times for a couple of laps. And they call him back and say you either picked up or you're losing time, and then you change back to where you were at if you're not picking up.
Up to 3rd place now, where Todd Bodine has passed Darrell Waldron. Jim Bound, number 98, 1 lap down, but having a good run after qualifying the top 15. Darrell trying to pick up a win for this season. Busch competition. Todd's kind of taken off here. He's definitely first in the GM class today. Yep. Jack Buick.
We've got to keep in mind, Waltrip in the 17, in that long run while ago, he had moved up to 3rd place. They just put him 4 brand new fresh tires on it. And we're talking about these guys, ooh, a lot of smoke coming out of Waltrip's cars who went in the corner there. But Darrell is thinking about, they're saying they might be able to go this whole run and not have to pit again. He wants those tires under him, and then he's real smart. He's going to try to save something. Guy not saving anything but the front of the racetrack. He's checking out on it.
We're 117 laps complete with Mark Martin in the lead. Here's a look at your top 10. 14 cars are on the lead lap. Point leader Joe Nemechek 1 lap down in 15th position. Jeff Gordon was asked what kind of statement you want to make in your last 2 Busch Grand National races.
Well, we've left a message all year. In a way, we've been a really strong car just about everywhere we've been. We've won 11 poles in 3 races, and the 3 races that we won were some pretty strong races. So had some pretty big tracks with a lot of tough competition. We've left a message, no doubt about it, but I think me leaving this team and this team leaving Busch Grand National, we all want to leave a message that we were a strong contender in 1992.
We're back at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Here's the battle, Chuck Bound and Harry Gant. This is for 6th place. And they're about to have company. Look at Earnhardt, Presley, Labonte trying to run them down. And Nemechek a lap back.
You know, you see a lot of the cars moving up into the racetrack way up high. They're wearing the tires out so there's not much rubber up there, so they could run through their tires pretty quick.
Harry Gant way up high. Labonte. Now, Bobby Labonte in 44 has been running that same groove. Let's check with Glenn Jarrett.
One of the reasons he's having to run that same high groove is because the car is real tight. I talked to his crew chief, which is his dad, Bob, and he said the car just won't turn. Bobby doesn't have any choice. He has to run up there. It's costing him time, drifting him back through the pack. He's losing those points to Nemechek, so his tight race car is a blessing to Joe Nemechek.
If the race ended right now, Bobby Labonte would be just 14 points behind Nemechek, and Todd Bodine only 72 points behind. Going to the finale in 2 weeks at Hickory that you'll see right here on TNN. Taking a big swipe out of that corner is Bobby Labonte in 44.
There's so many spotters on the roof, as Buddy talked about before. Each one of these teams has a spotter on the roof. He's calling lap times. They're all playing around the top. There's third place, 34 car and 17 of Waltrip. He was back and forth. He's put some heat on the 34 now. There's Darrell trying. Somebody's falling against tire marks. He's cutting like a new trail in the snow up there, and they're all going to give it a little bit of try. Watch right here now. When one car goes inside, you see the other. The Waltrip's going to try him on the inside.
There's a look at the points. If the race ended right now, it would be way too close to call. Going to Hickory.
We saw right then, buddy Mike, we saw Waltrip really make a gain on him, and then he had to get out of the throttle. He lost some ground to him. These sixes have got to be wound up. You're talking about RPM, buddy. That top groove keeps them wound up, but if you ever have to lift, it takes them a little bit of a while to get them wound up again. Waltrip makes a good run right here. You see to close in the middle of the corner off.
This is third place right here, running behind Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon, the race leaders.
That lap car, Tom Peck, his car was damaged in the earlier wreck, so he's off the pace of it.
Look at Darrell's car come off the corner in that high line. He has a faster car down the straightaway. He's going to try to get under him here, getting in the corner.
And we'll mention they fixed whatever problem would not allow Jeff Fuller's Rosso car to restart after the red flag delay. He's back in the race.
Darrell's tried him high, tried the 34 car Bodine high, low, inside, outside. There's a 28 of Spencer's going behind the wall on the back straightaway, right on in the garage here. It looks like a lot of smoke out of there.
This battle 3.5 seconds behind race leader Mark Martin.
Uh-oh.
Ernie Irvin?
Yep, that's number 5.
And caution is out. That's one today.
That's unbelievable. That's the 5th engine in preparation for this race. He lost it going in the race. He lost 4 prior to this. He borrowed that from Earnhardt. You think he's ready to give it back?
I'd say. With interest. When do you suppose the warranty ran out on that one?
1 lap ago. Best I can tell.
Mark Martin leads it. Jeff Gordon right with him. Those 2 fast Fords. Leading Todd Bodine, Darrell Waltrip. Ernie Irvin was the 5th place car. Now that is good news for point leader Joe Nemechek. That drops us down to 13 cars on the lead lap.
There's Tony Urey standing on top of the Goodyear box, Goodrich box. He probably told Dale, said, guess what? That motor we just borrowed, I saw it come coasting in here. I saw Urey looking at him as he went by, so he's lost another one.
Here are the leaders on pit road. Now they're pitted at very different ends of the pit lane. Todd Bodine is also in, as is Harry Gant. Everybody on the lead lap pits on this first lap of caution once the pace car picks up the field. Chuck Bound, Robert Presley, Bobby Labonte, Kenny Wallace, Kenny Schrader, and Dave Resendiz in the pit lane.
You know, there used to be a big advantage of being down on the far end when you could come in under full steam, but now you have to keep them down to a set speed all the way down the pit road. There's no advantage to where you're pitted at all.
Well, let's see who gets the job done first. They're all getting 4 tires and a tank of fuel. Jeff Gordon is away, but the man who had the furthest pit down, Ricky Pearson, picked the last pit for Robert Presley. And so it appears there is still an advantage. Presley is out first and will be the race leader. No. There's Robert Presley, the Alliance Tractor Trailer Training Center. Now Presley will be the leader among the cars that pitted. Darrell Waltrip stayed out on the racetrack, KGOLDW.
Yeah, and like you say, I think Presley rolled out the end of the pits a little just ahead of the 60 car. So if Darrell does pit, which I doubt he will this long, you know, we were concerned about him earlier. They were talking about could they go the distance on fuel, and they, you know, Waltrip stayed out.
Well, he's got no points to run for, so we'll see how it turns out. Here's your Napa Field standing update brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. 120 laps down as of this rundown. We're now at 132, and we're working the 4th caution flag of the afternoon. This one for the engine on Ernie Irvin.
Hey, Neil, we were talking about where you pit had nothing to do with it. It does not. It goes back to the pits. I mean, if you have a 19-second pit stop and you're on the far end, of course, you're going to go out first, opposed to a guy that has a 30-second pit stop. But
So there's
when you
Darrell.
used to smoke them down in here, it was pretty tough.
I'll tell you what, people used to wonder why you'd slide through your pits. You come in the pit road on 100 miles an hour, and they give you a 20-foot period to stop in, and the crew's hollering, come on, get in, and you're trying to slow down, and, you know, it's a miracle. Used to, we didn't have more problems than we did.
This is only the second Busch Grand National race that Waltrip has led this year. He led them at Dover Downs last month. And Dale Earnhardt also did not pit, nor did Terry Labonte. So they'll be the first 3 cars, and then Robert Presley will be in 4th place when we go back to green.
Well, I tell you, they must really be thinking about that fuel mileage. They had to check it pretty close.
Well, but keep in mind, all 3 of the drivers who did not pit are Winston Cup regulars. They only run the occasional Busch race. They're going to get some TV time running out front. They're going to roll the dice, and if it's the kind of move where if it works, you're really, really smart. And if it doesn't, you just put the car in the truck and get on to the next show.
Mike, there's another side of that also. What happened after that last restart after a caution? We had the big 12-car wreck.
Right.
These guys are looking at 70 to 80 laps, 70 laps to go. They say, hey, I'd rather be sitting in the front and trying to not be involved in an accident. And if the caution comes out, then we're in a lot better shape. So staying up front makes a big difference.
Let's mention that Steve Grissom is back in the race. His battered car running just behind the leaders, but having to speed down on the apron. Here's the way they're running at 134 laps. The 3 cars who did not pit, then Presley and Martin, the top 5. Todd Bodine, Harry Gant, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Wallace, and Bobby Labonte, the top 10. Glenn?
Well, Jimmy Spencer has parked the Texaco Haviland Ford Thunderbird. What happened, Jimmy?
I don't know. Something happened to the engine. You know, the car was running real good. We were a little loose in the beginning of the race. Got it adjusted, and something happened there. It started tightening up, so we just decided to pull it in. Thank Davey Allison, Texaco, for giving me a shot at this car.
You're getting a lot of seat time in these Allison Fords.
Yeah, you know, I got to give them a lot of credit. They built some good race cars, you know, driving for Bobby Allison tomorrow, and looking forward to the race tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, Mike.
So are we, Glenn. You'll see it live on TNN tomorrow afternoon. Green flag. Hut Strickland tail end of the lead lap on the outside lane with Jim Bound. That's Darrell Waltrip, the race leader.
Strickland might have stopped to put tires on to be able to get that lap back. You know, the lead cars did not change to put tires on. Strickland evidently did because he's able to pull away from Waltrip to get that lap back.
Strickland is 14th, tail end of the lead lap. That's bad news for Joe Nemechek. You see Joe about 8th back in line and a lap down. Robert Presley, the first of the cars that pitted in this running order. The number 59 is 4th, right behind Earnhardt, and Mark Martin running right with him.
Yeah, what some of these lead cars have got to contend with is lap cars with fresh rubber that's able to beat them.
Let's check with Steve Evans.
Well, Ernie, when this thing was running, it was a rocket ship, but now you have to tell Teresa Earnhardt that you blew up her motor.
Well, Carl Wagner done all of our motors, and we've been having some sort of trouble. This one's something broke in it, but you know, them guys are working hard trying to make us a lot of power. And I guess when you do that, these things happen. But the car was driving good. You know, I want to thank Kodak, Delco, Remy Chevrolet, and all my guys to help me out.
No warning, just kaboom?
Yeah, just something broke a valve or something like that.
Joe Betsy made a quick pit stop for a stop-and-go penalty. Here's the battle. Mark Martin underneath Robert Presley. Let's go back to 7th place. Now where Dale Earnhardt has his hands full of Harry Gant and Jeff Gordon.
That call not to put tires on is going to be costly right now. There comes Nemechek up through there with Gant right behind him and Gordon. These guys have got a little bit fresher tire on it. They're checking out on it.
For Nemechek is 1 lap down. Now in 15th position, unofficially.
Well, they just learned something for tomorrow. The 3-car definitely will need tires. It's too much of an advantage to give up. I tell you, you just got to have them. You can tell every car that made a pit stop and it got fresh rubber.
Yeah, new tires are probably good for 10 laps. A lot of extra speed, and then they'll level out. But in those 10 laps, they can get you so bad behind them that there's no way to overcome it, so you got to go with it.
Racing as hard as they can to get back into this point chase. Todd Bodine and Robert Presley together again, 3rd place. At stake here. They keep swapping it back and forth. Harry Gant dropping a spot to Jeff Gordon. And Up front, Mark Martin has taken the lead from Darrell Waltrip.
I tell you what, he's checked out. He's really flying. He's got fresh tires on that car, and I don't think Darrell will make that mistake again. Do you, Neil?
No, that's, when you try to stretch it like that, sometimes it bites you. There we see the 60 car, Mark Martin out front. He's got around Waltrip and pulling away.
Mark Martin's last Busch Grand National win came at Myrtle Beach in 1990. He won that race on the last lap when Tommy Ellis, who had led for some time, ran out of gas with a quarter mile to go.
I can't believe that. That car is always up front, and he hadn't won a race since then.
Nope. He's led almost every one of them. Every time we do a Busch Grand National race, we're talking about Mark Martin leading it. The first thing he says, boy, we got a good shot at the finish of the race, and that's just been their problem, getting at the finish. And when it does, he's stout.
You saw Todd Bodine move up into second on Darrell Waltrip and back into this point chase. Here's number 2-point man Bobby Labonte with Kenny Wallace. That fights for 7th place.
Boy, how many laps this year have they ran together like that side by side?
For 2 years.
That's right. There's Kenny inside Kenny Wallace's car. We saw Bobby Labonte make the move, come on the inside, and there he's jumping right back on him again.
We're just looking at Bobby Labonte's car. He's not as dominant here right now as he was last week. That car is always up front. You notice how nice it handles in the corner. You don't see it jumping sideways and all those things.
4th place, Jeff Gordon and Robert Presley.
See, the one car, Jeff Gordon, doesn't seem to be as strong, just to overpower as it did early in the race. We saw Mark Martin, you said earlier, but you got to be willing to change the car. Martin made chassis adjustments and got his car better. It looks like the one car might have to do a little bit more this race is over.
Wallace and Labonte. Close call.
Ricochet shot going in one.
Kick save. That's Kenny Wallace finding out 8 wheels corner better than 4.
The tie goes to the guy on the inside always.
Okay. 51 laps to go at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. It is Ford, 2 Chevrolets, and a Ford. We'll be right back. TNN Motorsports exclusive coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more light to your car. A lot of smoke out of race for point leader Joe Nemechek's car. He drops to the inside. Nemechek was running 1 lap back in 16th position. Lady Luck has turned her gaze. It's a tire, it appears.
But he looks like a tire, doesn't it? It's just when the car travels in the corner, you look like the right rear, like you might have got tampered. It's smoking the right exhaust. No, the right rear fender well. When we get a shot right here, we might see it. The rear quarter is caved in. Somebody's hit him in that wheel, and if he runs hard, it bottoms the car out of the smoke, so he's going to have to ease up the pace and hope the caution comes out.
Man, that's tough break for him. I tell you what, when you get one smoking like that, they'll black flag you too, so he's got to slow down, and they see the smoke coming out, they'll bring him right in.
That certainly is spotters on the radio to him. Is that the kind of thing you can feel from in the car when you got a rub like that?
Sometimes you can smell it. Even though it's on the rear of the car, you smell that rubber smoke inside.
There's your race summary. Mark Martin has led 94 of 151 laps. 14 cars on the lead lap. 4 drivers swapping the lead back and forth 10 times. There'll be no record average speed today. First to second is closing fast as Joe Nemechek will head to pit road. There is less than a second separating race leader Mark Martin and a very fast closing Todd Bodine. Here's Nemechek.
Okay.
Go ahead. Joe Nemechek just came in. They're jacking the car up, changing the right rear tire on it.
Steve is there.
Right, Joe Nemechek and Mick Hagan are the guys going to work on that right rear tire. Apparently that was the tire that was rubbing the body. The only tire they changed, so that was the culprit. Now they got the right front as well. So one of those tires is the problem. It's swapping out. That's got to hurt him in the points, though. That really benefits the body.
I think there's more to it. Is that rear end moving around back there?
Mike, it looks like the rear track bar might be loose. He was rubbing the right rear. He lays over to rub the left rear. It looks like they might have a track bar loose. If they have, he's going to come right back in and fix that. There's where they got together, right there.
Well, this is the point leader malady of the year. It took Bill Elliott out of the race at Charlotte, broken track bar mount. If that's Nemechek's, and that's where it happened.
Look who it's with. It's Bobby Labonte, the second in the points.
Boy, nice work, videotape, finding that one for us.
I'll tell you what happens, he took a direct hit in the wheel, not in the body, but in the wheel, and it could have bent that mounting bracket that holds the rear, and the bar's still under, but you just got the rear shifted out of alignment. And on these fender wells, you don't have about a half-inch of clearance, and it's shifted the rear and over, and it's rubbing in the corners.
It happened to the Winston Cup point leader, and now the Busch leader, the track car trouble. Second place has changed. Jeff Gordon has gone by Todd Bodine as we watched Joe Nemechek stop. Even though Bodine was closing fast on Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon blew on past him, and now he is running down the leader.
Well, I think what happened to Todd was he was trying to catch the leader so badly that he may have used his tires up a little bit too much. And Jeff just made a steady gain, and it looked like he's closing in on Martin.
Chuck Bound and the 36 car, Kenny Wallace, the Dirt Devil Pontiac, 6th place right there. There's a good look at the Nescafe car, the Hubert Hensley machine, driven by the 1990 Busch champ, Chuck Bound. Squirts on the throttle and grabs the spot here.
Well, here comes that momentum on the outside.
Yeah.
His buddy's talking about he's already got it wound up. Okay, now watch. You see if the 63 doesn't drive back up beside him. No, he's falling back in, getting in the corner lap car. That was a place where you would think the 63 would be able to pull back up. They ran up on that lap car.
Brad Doherty would be proud of that move. Kenny Wallace used Bobby Dotter as the pick. Went right around. Held off Chuck Bound.
He might not be 7'6", but he weighed 3,400 pounds. You better not. Made a sweep across the rear. He'll get a wide line here and try to dive under him as he goes in the corner. It's on the outside. This is the
different battle.
Yeah, 44 of Labonte now. Going around the outside of Presley.
And here comes Presley right back at him. 8th place. Back at the 8th place race. We've got a little swapping around. Let's reset the leaders for you. Mark Martin is the leader. Jeff Gordon now 2nd. Todd Bodine 3rd. Darrell Waltrip is 4th. Harry Gant 5th. 6th is Kenny Wallace, and 7th Chuck Bound. We're watching 8th place Bobby Labonte and 9th place Robert Presley go at it. Then Kenny Schrader is 10th, Dave Resendiz 11th, Dale Earnhardt is 12th, and Terry Labonte 13th. Those cars are on the lead lap.
Here they are racing side by side again, buddy.
These guys said that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. They're just like they're glued together all the way around the racetrack.
Okay, this time Chuck Bound cleared him enough. He pulled in front of him where he couldn't use the momentum off the corner on him, and looks like he's made the pass.
Joe Nemechek, the point leader, now 2 laps down, back in 19th position.
Well, this is the best we've seen Chuck Bound. He's had an up and down season. He's just been having a lot of bad luck, and he's running good today.
Now you see Kenny moving up a little bit. He looked like he gained a little bit getting in the corner. What you do when you're racing a car like they're racing right there, you study him and see where he's weak at, and you try to make a ground on him and close up on him.
Kenny diving back to the inside, trying a little bit lower line than 1 and 2. Sometimes in this racetrack, if you run low through 1 and 2, fill the tires off, run it hard through 3 and 4. A lot easier to exit off of 4, so you use the bottom of 1 and 2 and sometimes high in 3, 4, and it'll work.
Why didn't you ever tell me that when we were racing each other, man?
I was always burning the tires off no matter where I was at. Looks like this is leveled out with the 63 car up front.
If the race ended right now, Bobby Labonte would close to within 44 points of Joe Nemechek. Let's check down in the point leader's pit. Steve Evans.
The crew was ready to bring the Nemechek car back in. In fact, they had the big tools out, the hammers and the pry bars, figuring something got bent underneath the car, apparently tagged the wall a little bit, and that is what was causing the friction between the body and the tire. But all of a sudden, it quit smoking, and apparently it has clearanced itself. Enough rubber has been worn away where it's no longer making contact, so he'll stay out there.
Joe Nemechek stays on the Speedway. Let me correct that. Bobby Labonte would be just 24 points behind Nemechek, and Todd Bodine would only be 69 points out of the lead if the race ended now. 32 laps to go. Martin and Gordon in Fords, Todd Bodine's Buick, Darrell Waltrip in a Chevy, then Harry Gant. There's the rest of your top 10. And now there are 3. Robert Presley in a plume of smoke coasts down the back straightaway pits and out of the chase for the Busch Grand National Championship. He came in here a long shot, 4th in the points, and was running on the lead lap. He has fallen from the race and loses his chance to be the 1992 champion.
Man, I hate to see anything like that happen. That guy has been so consistent this year. You know, he races to win every time, and to see something happen like this, I'd love to see them all go tied in the last race.
If the race ended right now, unofficially, that's how they'd line up in the point chase. 3 drivers would decide it at Hickory in 2 weeks, live on TNN.
Mike, I guarantee there was an anxious moment when he went down the first turn and blew that motor, because there was a lot of these guys banking and hoping for a caution to come out. Not to have Presley to have bad luck, but just for a caution to get those tires they didn't get earlier.
Let's take a look at the interval, first to second spot. Here is Mark Martin as he rounds off the corner into that back straightaway, and there is Jeff Gordon, 1.3 seconds behind. Now, let's talk about strategy just a little bit here. Remember the drivers, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, and Terry Labonte, that did not make pit stops under that last caution flag.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure that we look at the 60 car and then Jeff Gordon, I think they've used their allotment on cautions. You know, you get 2 complete sets of tires on a caution, I think they've used them. Worst thing could happen for these guys was a caution come out. Those other 3 guys could exercise that opportunity before new tires. We've already seen what new tires will do, just drive away from people. So these folks right here are hoping that it goes green the rest of the way.
And if there's caution, Waltrip, Earnhardt, and Terry Labonte will bolt on the freshest tires of anybody on the racetrack and be right back with a shot to win this thing. Which is kind of the tough thing about, you know, altering these tire rules with so many tires per race. Your strategy kind of dictates where you end up depending on circumstances.
Yeah, but the other side of that thing, Mike, you've got to think about the dollars involved.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if every time there was a caution, you could throw 4 on, you'd get these things to where the tire bills are $20,000 a race, and they've got to cap it somewhere. Nobody likes a tire rule, but man, I tell you, it sure changes the complexion of the race.
Oh, Neil, it's just my preference, but I like the 2 tires per caution rule.
Yep.
Because you can't dictate how many caution flags there will be. So if you say you get to put on 2 tires every caution flag, it kind of keeps everybody in the race, and it keeps a lot of cars. You got 3 good cars that aren't running right up front right now because they're on old tires, hoping for another caution.
Yeah, you're right. There's Jeff Gordon. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head, Mike, when we were talking off the air a while ago. It looks like the 60 car Mark Martin is running just slow enough to win the race. Every time Buddy, we were talking before, you know, the 34 car closed in on him, he drove away from him. We thought Jeff Gordon was gaining on him, he drives away from him. It looks like Mark Martin is controlling the pace of this race as he wants it to be.
Yeah, I tell you, he's got a great race car, and I just hope he has good luck today because, you know, this thing has flown a lot of motors. Look at Earnhardt fixing to go a lap down here. That'll be a tough thing to do, put him a lap down.
Well, that call on tires a while ago, evidently, that's really going to cost him here. If he can get Earnhardt down a lap here, a caution won't be of any benefit.
175 laps complete. There's a look at your top 10 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Just about 20 laps to go. Mark Martin in command. Todd Bodine racing hard to get back into this point chase. If it wasn't for bad luck, would you have any recent luck at all?
Yeah, last 3 weekends really started off at Dover. Spun out there, kind of took ourselves out of that race, just rode around the rest of the race, and then we went to Charlotte. Messed up, took ourselves right out of a points race in that one, destroyed the whole race car, and then last week at Martinsville, right at the start of the race, the transmission gave up, something internal broke, and you know, all 3 of those races, it just took us right out of the points race.
$15 laps to go at Rockingham with Mark Martin in the lead. I'm Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker, Steve Evans, and Glenn Jarrett patrolling pit road today. Glenn?
Robert Presley, what little chance you had in the points battle just went up in smoke. What happened?
Yeah, we'd saved everything. We had another set of tires left, you know. We only got 2 there. But something come off through Bobby Labonte's car going in turn 3 there, and told Ricky, you know, there's some debris up there, and he told NASCAR, and next thing we know, you know, busted the radiator, and it just got hot, so we parked it.
Well, kind of a tough way to end the season here, but you got one more chance to show them at Hickory.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
Okay, that's the report from Robert Presley.
Bobby Labonte has been sprinkling bad luck charms today. He inadvertently got into the side of Joe Nemechek. He had to make an extra pit stop. Joe had already been 1 lap down when he made that stop, and now Robert Presley out of the race.
The big question is, what come out from under Labonte's car? Was it a major piece or nothing at all, but just maybe a piece of sheet metal?
Battle of the grocery carts right here. The Winn-Dixie car leading Harris Teeter. That's Dave Resendiz. right behind Mark Martin.
High-speed carts, you know, Mike.
Hey. Yeah, but they use a little thicker wire when they weld these together.
Yes, sir. They better.
You don't want to ride in the kiddie seat in this one.
Boy, Mark has just got it his way, you know. There's that Gordon just running. You know this young man right here is running as hard as he can go. And Mark is sitting out there controlling the race, and it's got to be a tough feeling for him.
That's a horrible feeling, Neil, to be in second place and see that lead car about a half-inch off the white line on the very bottom, handling that well, and you're trying to catch it.
And your guys call on the radio and say, okay, you can go ahead and pick up the pace if you want to.
Yeah.
Go ahead and run him down.
Going to be a ways back to Todd Bodine, the third place car, as they work their way around the North Carolina Motor Speedway, and we're coming up now 10 laps to go in this one for Mark Martin to notch his first victory in 2 years on the Busch Grand National Circuit.
I know it's true, but I just find it hard to believe. It seems like that car has been a constant winner. Everywhere I go, he's up front.
I think at Charlotte, the ink had dried on endorsing, I think he endorsed the check on a pit stop at halfway during Humpy's halftime, and then had electrical gremlins with the car behind the wall before it was over. And instead, Jeff Gordon got $72,000.
You're right. Look at his car. There's Gordon chasing him. And see Mark Martin just right down around the inside of the track, just like he's on a rail. And I've had guys call me and said, pay attention to what the leader's doing. Look where he's running. Right. Can you see what he's doing? I said, yeah, I see what he's doing. If I was running that good, he'd be chasing me.
Right.
You just go as hard as you can go. And I bet you Jeff Gordon is running as hard as that little white Ford to go chasing this one right here, this little black car. Look at him checking his watches, getting ready for victory celebration if it stays together.
You know, the thing that amazes me about Mark is he never qualifies on the pole, but as the race goes along, he just gets faster and faster. Or maybe he just maintains his speed, but the other people seem to drop off, and here he is up front and gone.
Here he is up in the Ken Schrader.
Look at that car. He ran off on the apron there just for a second.
Schrader, that's a good car, and he's going a lap down. Of the 3 drivers we talked about that had not yet gotten tires, 2 of them, Earnhardt and Terry Labonte, are a lap down. Darrell Walter is still on the lead lap. He's the 4th place car, and as we talked earlier, might have the best handling car here to go that distance that well on a set of tires, but that extra caution flag to get the last set of stickers looks like it may not fall.
It's kind of like putting money in the bank and never have the opportunity to draw it out. It's sitting there, but you're just not going to be able to use it. The kids will get to use that money because those 2 tires will be ready for next year.
Yeah, right. Watching and waiting. Jeff Burke trying to hang on to the top 10 in points.
There was what Mark Martin right here. When I was in the pit yesterday, there was Jack Roush down there up under the hood of this thing. So Roush plays with these little V6 motors, and they really got some good power plants. And I'm telling you, this thing runs down the straightaway.
Stopwatch says 1.8 seconds. First to second place. Final 5 laps. Todd Bodine among the point chasers. Todd Bodine is sitting in 3rd. Bobby Labonte is 8th. They're both on the lead lap, and Joe Nemechek is 16th, 3 laps down. The high attrition in this race has helped Nemechek to maintain a point lead, leaving here for Hickory. Bill Davis and crew. 3 to go.
Neil, I believe he may have moved up a half an inch or so, don't you think?
Tires are wearing a little bit, buddy.
Now, a series record for the most different winners in a single season could be tied if Martin runs these last 4 laps, and we have a new winner at Hickory. Martin's not won this year. He'll be the 17th different driver to win a race this season. Talk about competitive.
Does that give you an indication of what kind of cars they have this year? It used to be the training grounds, and now it's the proving grounds. These guys got cars capable of winning races, and 17 winners is unbelievable for the few races they've run in the circuit.
See Martin's car there, how it's moving up in the center of the corner. I think that's the difference in the 2 cars right now. Look at the fingers there.
You got everything crossed.
This guy's been in all the other races when they were leading.
Yes, I think so.
If he had his fingers crossed before, I'd make him uncross them because it hadn't worked up till now. Buddy, I just don't really think cross fingers got anything to do with all 6 of them pistons doing what they're doing. All those connecting rods and valves. When that thing is right on a given day, it's going to be tough.
There comes the white flag. I guarantee you, he can bumper into neutral almost now. He drove a perfect race.
There's the interval. Jeff Gordon in second. Strengthen his hold on fourth at the points and will close in on Robert Presley, who's gone behind the wall. In fact, he may pass Presley for fourth in the point standings with this run today. Mark Martin rounding off turn 4 to score his 7th career Busch Grand National victory. Winning by 2.8 seconds over Jeff Gordon in the Baby Ruth Ford. Todd Bodine will finish 3rd and close in the points with Bobby Labonte 8th and Joe Nemechek 16th unofficially. Darrell Waltrip's 4th, Harry Gant is 5th, Kenny Wallace 6th, Chuck Bound 7th, Bobby Labonte 8th, Kenny Schrader 9th, a lap down. Dave Resendiz, good run today, finishing up in 10th. Hut Strickland 11th, Dale Earnhardt 12th, 13th to Terry Labonte, 14th to Jim Bound, and 15th to Joe Bessie, 16th to Nemechek, and 17th Ed Barrier, 18th Ward Burton, 19th to Butch Miller, and 20th to Tom Peck, who got running after that wreck once again. Tommy Houston was 21st, Richard Lassiter 22nd, Jeff Burton 23rd, 24th Andy Hillenberg, 25th Ricky Craven, 25th rather Robert Presley.
There goes the 60 car right into victory lane. That thing's been aimed there a bunch of times this year, and they finally pulled it off.
You know what's nice, Neil? Did you see all the crew members from all the other teams clapping? They were glad to see Mark finally win that race, because I'm going to tell you something. If anybody's deserved to win this year, it's been the Winn-Dixie car.
He'll be the first one to tell you that they've had it there, and they just couldn't pull it off, but they've done it now.
Watch the smile. No smile yet, huh?
He's a rather intense young fella. About to be a happy, intense young fella. Steve Evans is right there with him.
Mark Martin takes a big, deep breath, a little refreshment on a warm afternoon here at the Rock. And out of the car he comes. It's been a long time since we've met this man in the winner's circle in the Busch Grand National race. And I'm sure no one's happier about this moment than Mark Martin himself as he tries to take inventory inside the car, get the mandatory hat. Mark, you control this race. That's fun, isn't it?
It's about time. This Winn-Dixie car's been fast enough to win a ton of races, and we hadn't had the fortune to do it, and I just want to thank Jack Roush for putting a great engine in there. Goodyear had a great radial tire to run on today. The thing had run, the longer it run, the better it got, and it's been a long time coming. I'm just glad to finally got a win for Winn-Dixie.
And the Ford power plant. A few years ago, nobody wanted one. Now you can get a lot of money for one.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Jack Roush and all the people that work on this little V6. They've come a long way since the beginning of the season. We got lots of power, good reliability, and finally got the car reliable. And we're looking forward to going to Hickory, and we're looking forward to next year's schedule, too, with this thing.
You know, everyone knew tires would be a big factor, maybe even more important than we thought.
Yeah, I think that they did. Some of the guys chose to try to get them later. So they threw a bunch of roll bar padding out of their cars trying to get them to throw yellows. Kind of dirty tricks. The roll bar padding was flopping all over the racetrack all the way around. I called them. I said, hey, that's roll bar padding. Them boys that stayed out, they're the ones that threw it out.
That's a new one on me. I don't know about you guys. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett. Did you ever use the old roll bar padding trick, Glenn?
Well, I'm standing by with second place finisher Jeff Gordon. You had an awfully good car today, but just not quite good enough.
Well, it was a good day and a frustrating day. I think we had something for Mark. Every time we come up on lap cars, he hit them just right and I hit them just wrong. You know, I couldn't get around the lap cars the way I wanted to, and I mean, that might be where experience comes in. But we had an awful good car, and we're real happy. Baby Ruth Thunderbird did a great job today, and the guys in the crew did a great job all day long. We just hung in there. We gained a lot of valuable points today, and it's getting down to the end of the season where we want to worry about points, and you know, not necessarily every time we go out we're going to win, but we got a lot of points.
Well, Bill Davis told us early on in the race, Jeff, that the car had gotten a little bit loose on you. Were you able to get that adjusted back the way you wanted it?
Well, yeah, we actually got it real good there at the end. As a matter of fact, it was a little bit tight when we went back out with new tires, but the car started coming to us, and I mean, I thought we had something for him. We just couldn't ever get out in the open and actually race with Mark. Every time I did, we come up on lap cars.
Well, interestingly enough, one of the guys who was the first over here to congratulate Jeff was his teammate for next year, Ernie Irvin. What did Ernie have to say?
Oh, he said what he always has to say. He had something for me, but he blew up.
Okay, Steve Evans.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Is that a pretty plaque? It's from Miller Genuine Draft. You can read it. It says Pit Crew Award for the AC-Delco 200. This is Sammy Houston, the crew chief. On behalf of all your guys, accept this for him, will you? Great job.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Win Dixie and Check Drinks and Ford and Jack Roush and everybody's been behind us. We've had a hard year, but it's paid off. We've been good everywhere we've been, and I'd like to thank T&M for everything they do for us.
Smart pit work today. You guys helped Mark win this.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a little early, but we were so good on a long run, we felt like we were about the same either way, and it paid off, so I was glad it kept running under green.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mike? Thank you, Steve. Well, as we round up our roll bar padding to toss out here, we'll be back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway right after these messages. Here's a look at your top 5. We're back at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, and with this checkered flag, one race remains in the Busch Grand National Series for 1992. Mark Martin led 140 of 197 laps today. Jeff Gordon was 5th in the points. He'll move up. Todd Bodine, 3rd in the points, finished 3rd. KG Old Darrell and Harry Gant drove to 4th and 5th place finishes. Kenny Wallace, Chuck Bound, there's Bobby Labonte, 2nd place point man. Kenny Schrader, good run for Dave Resendiz in the Harris Teeter car, finishing 10th today. Hut Strickland was 11th. Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte, who did not get those final stops for tires. Jim Bound and Joe Bessie from the NASCAR North Circuit. Joe Nemechek settles for 16th today. We'll tell you what happened to his point lead here in a minute. Ed Barrier, Ward Burton, Butch Miller, Tom Peck involved in that crash came back out to run laps. So did Tommy Houston, Richard Lassiter, trouble-free day. Jeff Burton, Andy Hillenberg, and rookie Ricky Craven, 25th. Jeff Fuller got back on the speedway to run some laps, finished 26th. Robert Presley out of the race. Steve Grissom, Bobby Dotter, and Michael Rich. Ernie Irvin, Jimmy Spencer, all these cars out of the race. Tracy Leslie, Mike Wallace, and David Bonnet. Bill Elliott, Hermie Sadler, David Donahue, Jason Keller, and Rick Mast. And Shauna Robinson, first car out of this race today. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
We're standing by with Joe Nemechek. Joe, not a good day, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yes, it could have. The Texas Beach Chevrolet was running real good. Started out just a little bit too tight, and we kept working it out. We got a lap down too early, though, and there I got tangled up with Bobby Labonte, and he was running up high, and I thought I had him clear, and here he snuck back up on me, and I didn't know he was there, and we hit a little bit, and the fender started rubbing the tires, so it cost me a couple extra laps, and the day could have been a lot worse, but there was a lot of accidents and stuff, and I think it saved us, and we're looking forward to going to Hickory.
Well, he pretty much said it all. I don't have anything else I have to ask him right now. Good job, though. Mike Joy?
Thank Peter Larson, the folks at BST, and our folks down at the tape truck for those nice shots. Joe Nemechek will go to Hickory with a slim lead, 33 points on Bobby Labonte. Todd Bodine is only 78 points out of the point lead. Jeff Gordon moves up to 4th, but he and Robert Presley are out of championship contention. There's the rest of the top 10. So, like the presidential election, it'll be a 3-horse race at Hickory for the Busch Grand National Championship. We'll be right back. Exclusive coverage of the AC-Delco 200 on the Nashville Network has been brought to you by AC-Delco. It's like buying time. By Texaco, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. And by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm.
We are back with Bobby Labonte, whose performance today has taken this championship right down to the wire with Joe Nemechek.
Well, we run pretty good all day. The car's pushing a little bit there in the middle of the corners. We just tried to do the best we could, and Slim Jim Chevrolet came home 8th, and what's the best we could do? We'll just go to Hickory and see what happens. But, it's Todd finished up there pretty good, and he's behind us in the points. We got to watch out for everybody.
And you and Joe got together a bit. Joe said he didn't see you.
Yeah, it was the deal. I was running the high line at the time, make my car work. He was on the low line. You could run 4 wide here, but when you come off the corner, it narrows down. So, I pulled up beside him, but I was on his blind side. I know he didn't see me, but you know, we were just trying to race, just trying to be there at the end. Both of us were.
Is this kind of the day you thought you'd have?
I don't know. I guess it was. You know, we figured we'd be all right, but you know, I knew we couldn't. I don't know that we could have been good enough for the win, but you know, I knew we'd be good enough for top 5. But you know, 8th ain't bad. Chuck and Kenny were right there at the end. I was trying to catch them, but just used up my tires too much.
Okay, again, good job, and I got wait for Hickory. How about you, Mike?
That's it, Steve. Bobby Labonte's only been to Hickory 5 times. He's never finished a lap down there. He's finished 5th, 7th, 3rd, and 2nd. He will be a factor in 2 weeks there. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
All right, guys, I'm a little jealous. Now, here's a guy who's run 200 miles out there, and he looks like he walked out of GQ magazine. Looks fresh as a daisy. Good run today, Kenny.
Well, that has a lot to do with HealthWorks out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Felix Sabatas, car owner. Paid a little bit of money. We've been working out, trying to build our strength. But not today. You know, today we were just a tick off. It was a little bit aggravating. Jeff Hammond kept calming me down. The harder I wanted to drive, the more the car would slide to the top of the racetrack. But all in all, it was a good day.
Well, you mentioned Jeff Hammond, who will be your crew chief next year. How are you guys getting along so far? Looks like you're really starting to gel. You're starting to learn what each other's all about.
Well, what I'm finding out is that hyper isn't always the best way to go. I'm pretty hyper, and the harder I go, the slower I go. So he reels me back in, kind of, you know, Darrell Waltrip style, just consistent all day long. And, you know, everything's going really good, and I couldn't ask for it to go much better right now. We just needed a good finish. The car didn't break today, and, you know, we finished 7th.
Well, you're probably now trying to work on some momentum going into next year. This team has had its ups and downs this year. No team to begin with, been strong early on, then you've kind of faltered. But Jeff seems to have stabilized things, and I know that has to make you feel a lot better as a driver looking forward to next year.
Well, he has. You know, you pay a lot of attention to the Winston Cup guys. This is just longevity sport, you know, and sometimes when you're down, you're not always out. You know, this team's got character, and I try to lead these guys as hard as we can. And Jeff, you know, coming to the dish, and all he brings is 3 championships and 2, you know, national pit stop championships, and just a ton of experience. So, you know, we're looking forward to going next year, and it's hard trying to do both right now, but the boys are doing a pretty good job getting Winston Cup cars built and running the Busch Series at the same time.
Well, good luck to you next year. Steve?
Well, in a season that hasn't lived up to what his expectations were, Chuck found a strong 6th. The new Lumina body paid off for you, obviously.
The car worked really good. There were a few of them a little bit stronger than we were, and you know, we've had a tough season, so we were a little gun shy, so we pulled a little bit higher gear than what most of the competition did, and I think we paid the price for it just a little bit getting up off the corners, but I was real happy with the car, and I want to thank Nescafe and ST, and we're coming back. We've got one more race to try to win one this year. That's at Hickory in 2 weeks.
We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike Joy?
Well, Steve, one race to go in this championship season, Hickory, North Carolina. Neil Bonnet, who do you think is going to come out with the title?
Well, Mark Martin with a title.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, that's too close to tell. You can shuffle it around too much. When you was talking about, I thought you were talking about winning. I was going to say Mark Martin as strong as he is. But that points thing, man, I tell you what, you can fall backwards or make big leaps on any given day. And these V6 motors are little hand grenades. It's hard to say who's going to stay running.
Buddy?
I'm going to take the safe way out and say I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm going to make sure I see the race. I'm pulling for all of them. I think they're all great competitors, and it speaks highly for all of them that are in the points race now.
Does this sound like that other election you were talking about?
Yeah, since you two guys have wussed out, I can't pick a winner. It's Nemechek leading, Labonte 33 back, Todd Bodine 78 back, and one of them will be the Busch Grand National champion. November 8th, we will be at Hickory for the Busch Grand National Pantry 500, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Here on TNN. In fact, why don't you just weld your TV dial to TNN? Tomorrow, the AC-Delco 500 live, 12:30 Eastern, and immediately following, the ASA Championship is on the line. Then the next weekend we'll be at Phoenix, Richard Petty, the final ride, followed by the Pyroil 500 a week from tomorrow, and then we go to Hickory to close out the Busch Grand National season. Tomorrow, live on TNN, Richard Petty makes his final career start in his home state of North Carolina. We'll be here to cover all the action, and you see that roof cam. You'll be riding with Richard as he takes his final ride in North Carolina. Join Buddy Baker, Neil Bonnet, Steve Evans, Glenn Jarrett, and me, Mike Joy, tomorrow for live flag-to-flag coverage of the AC-Delco 500. For all of us here at TNN, we congratulate Mark Martin on his 7th career Busch Grand National victory in today's AC-Delco 200. You've seen it all live on TNN, the network that brings you more Grand National racing than all other networks combined. Coverage of the 1992 AC-Delco 200 has been a production of Diamond P Sport. a presentation of TNN, the Nashville Network.